Yo, what's up, everybody? Let me know if the volume is okay. We're just doing a little bit of audio test right before, but we should be ready soon.
Let me know if the volume
So
is
just let me know. Might be echoing. Let me fix that.
We should be ready soon.
Okay, hopefully it's good now. Good morning to people who it's morning, good evening for others, and yeah, maybe it's nighttime for some of y'all as well. Hopefully the ads put money in Boyce's pocket. They do, thank you. It does help support the channel. Thank you for sitting through some of those ads. Definitely helps a lot. All right. I will quickly read chat as we're getting started. I think we're just about ready to go. Now, I will say in advance, the allergies are pretty bad. So if I'm like sneezing or blowing my nose, I apologize, but I'll try to do that off camera. Okay. Hello, everybody. We are just about ready to go. I don't think I need my headphones, hopefully. But let me get the chat good to go on my end. And that way you can see everything. And then I'm multi-streaming to Twitch, so hopefully I can see that too. Let's put this on the right side. That. Okay. Cool. That should be good. Should be able to read everything. Let's see. Who do we got here? Ansel, hello. Jason, what's up, Jason? Average Warhammer fan. It's pretty based. Hello, hello. You should fold the Doom Slayer. Dude Slayer looks pretty cool. I want to play some of the Doom games. I just do not have much time, but that would be a really cool origami design. Nicholas, seals are cool. Seals are cool. I should fold a seal. I might not design a seal, but if there's like a really cute seal design I see, maybe I'll fold that. What's up, Hershey? Glad to see you, Hershey. Thanks for tuning in. See Sandra, hello, hello. Como. Spot, what's up, Hot Spot? Roblox Theranos, E. Okay, E. SPCZE. Not sure how to pronounce that, but hello, hello. Thanks for watching. Sky, what's up, Sky? I see you have a different name, but you've been in the live streams before. Unfortunately, Mr. Win. I'm not sure. I don't want to butcher your first name, so I'll call you Mr. Win. Thanks for doing the stream. Guillermo, what's up, Guillermo? Hello, Origami by Boyce. OBBB Wong Origami by Boyce. What's this again? So today, what are we doing? We are going to be doing some constructive criticism. So it's kind of like, study hall, study hours, or what do they call those? Open office hours or something like that. Man, it's been a little while since I've been out of school, but yeah, office hours are like study hall for some origami. And then in the Origami Dan Discord, which people, if you are a member of, got the opportunity to post in the constructive criticism channel some things they wanted me to review. And because it's in constructive criticism, it's more focused. It's not really saying like what's good or is this good. It's more like what's wrong. That's kind of the angle. So that's kind of where the constructive part comes in. Obviously, part of a constructive criticism is also pointing out what's good, right? You want to keep doing what's good, but not afraid to go hard and say what could be improved, which is kind of necessary sometimes for people who really want to get better at origami. Right? Not all people want to get better at origami. Sometimes origami is just fun to fold, and it's like, if you make it, you make it, and that's totally fine too. But if people intentionally want to get better, basically getting better at anything means failing a lot of times, right? So you have to embrace failure to get better. So that's where these people who have submitted are coming from, which is awesome. Bro, it's 12 noon around here. Me go to sleep? You mean 12 midnight? Sorry about that. Yeah, time zones are hard. Your origami's art. Thank you. I'm trying. Slater, what's up, Slater? We got a cool submission from Slater. Let's see, who else did I miss? Anyone? Nara, what's up, Nara? Dude, good to see you, man. Always good to see you here. All right, I actually got an allergy alert. Yeah, it's pretty brutal right now in spring. So much pollen. It's absolutely destroying my nose. Long time no see. Yes, so we are also streaming again. I know it's been like a really long time since I've done a live stream. Maybe I'll get into that a little bit too, because someone asked about like content creation. It's one of their questions, so maybe we'll dive into that a little bit as well. But the short answer is I'm getting paid directly by Facebook to create short form content. So that kind of takes priority for me right now over making long form content and live streams. Although I do want to, keep up the live streams when I can. It's just like I've been really busy the past couple of Fridays. And the other days of the week, I'm working a job. So I don't really have much time there either. But the balance, it's like I'm seeing a lot of return from short form videos versus long form videos, even though I think long form is really cool. Right now, the only long form videos that are, getting good results are my tutorials. The design vlogs, I think those are fun to make, and those are, to me, fun to watch because I get to share a lot of info. But unfortunately, not many, they're not as well received. I know people like them, but when I'm in more of a position to make those, I'll make more of those. Otherwise, it's going to be mainly short form content and then live streams when I can, because I think even if the live streams get less response in numbers, I think the people who show up here, right, these are members of my community who I really care about. They're being active, and it gives people a chance to interact directly, and I think that's just super cool. So hopefully we'll do more of these when I have time. And then the short form will be paying for some cool projects I have coming up soon. Maybe before we deep dive, I can quickly announce some of those cool projects, because I think everyone here, as we're starting up, will be interested to hear. So first big thing that's coming up, and this is actually just going to be the first announcement of it in general, is I have a new diagram that's coming out, and it's for the Wyvern design. Let me grab it really quick so you guys know. It's a little bit of an old design. All right. So this is the Wyvern. You guys might remember this one. The diagrams are all done. I'm just waiting for the cover art to be finished. I commissioned someone to make cover art. They're super cool. I'm super excited how it turns out. But once that's done, these diagrams will be ready to print and distribute. And actually, Como, while you're here, it's not ready yet, but I'll probably be reaching out to Paper Tree in case they want to stock volume 2 of the Wyvern diagrams. I think the first place they'll touch is the Origami USA convention. I'm going to bring some copies to sell over there. But don't worry, I'm keeping in mind a good deal for Paper Tree. In addition to that, before then and running throughout, there's going to be a one-time opportunity for people to buy the digital version of this diagram. Now, again, it's because my main plan is to sell physical copies, but I know not everybody can get a physical copy. It's more localized to the States. So there's going to be a one-time opportunity to get a digital copy of this diagram through an Origami by Boys competition. So that's right. OBB competition's coming back. I've got the skeleton laid out for the groundwork, but it's happening for sure. I just have to figure out some of the numbers and find some judges. But I am partnering with Bodo, and that opportunity to get these diagrams will also be another opportunity to get the Bodo horse diagrams, in case you missed out on that. So again, after this, no more digital version of the Wyvern, at least for like 2-3 years, probably longer. And then I don't know when the next opportunity will be for you to get the Bodo horse diagrams. So a very limited event. I'm hoping to get the prize to be sponsored, so it can be like a crazy prize as well. That should be a lot of fun. Entrance fee is the number I'm really configuring right now because I don't want it to undercut the physical copy value, right? So it's probably going to be slightly on the pricey side for what I wish it could be. But again, this is just age of digital products versus physical. I'm leveraging the digital so that the physical can still have value. But the prize and the value you get, especially combining it with some of Bodo horse diagrams, I think it'll be worth it. It's nothing crazy, right? But just a little heads up. Hopefully that's exciting for people. Shut up and take my money. I need the Wyvern. Yeah, so this video went pretty viral across a few different platforms, and a lot of people are waiting for the instructions or the diagrams. So those are coming soon. I'll release them as soon as I can once I get everything structured, and you should be able to get at least the digital version. The physical version, I guess if you buy the physical version, you'll get a link to the digital version, but that's like the only way those will ever be released again. So pretty exciting. Also, so this is volume 2 of the dragon diagrams. There's going to be volume 3, and then that's like the trilogy of Origami by Boyce Dragons. And then after I do all 3, it'll be like a collection, and then maybe I'll release my first book as that trio collection. I know it's kind of lame reusing models, right? But I think it'll be a pretty cool book, a book of Boyce diagrams. And it's a little small. We'll see if I add some more. I don't know yet. But the third dragon is a cool one. It's this. The Tadashi Mori Boyce OBB Darkness Pocket Dragon. And I got permission and clearance from Tadashi Mori himself to do this. I have proof. Because like this design, it's mostly Tadashi Mori's design. I just like reconfigured it. I basically smashed the 2 diagrams together. I wanted you guys to see all the conversations between me and Tadashi Mori, but I'll show a little bit. Right? That's real. So that's gonna be super cool. I definitely want Tadashi's name to be attached to this, so this third one is going to be between me and Tadashi, and both our names will be there. Will be super cool. He's letting me sell it as well. Really, that guy's awesome, right? Even if he's not making as much origami stuff recently, or I don't know when he's gonna come back, but that dude's awesome. So we'll keep continuing Legend of Tadashi Mori a little bit, hopefully through those diagrams. I'm super stoked. I know people are really interested in folding this as well. And it's finally not box pleat, right? So that'll be good. That'll be good too. I waiting the quote on how much these diagrams are going to cost me, but I've been outsourcing my diagrams. For reference, I think this one cost me around like $500. So I think this one's going to be kind of expensive. I think I'm looking to pay close to like $1,000 to get those produced over the next year. It's going to be worth it, but transparency, hopefully good. That's about how much it costs to produce some of these. So I'm excited. The cost doesn't really matter as long as like the product eventually gets there. I'm just excited to contribute more diagrams to the origami community and hopefully make them accessible, even though I know I'm kind of focusing on physical copies. But hopefully that excites you all. I know that was way longer of an announcement than I expected, but I think people are still kind of filtering in. So we'll get to the origami office hours very, very soon. What's up, everybody? There's some new people trickling in. What's up? Let's see who's new. Enzo, hello. Thanks for joining the stream. Ethan Clark, you made it. You did. You made it in time, even before the main stuff, because I've just been yapping. So yeah, another OBB competition is happening. All right. Will separate folder / booklet / issued together or combo in one booklet. So this Origami by Boyce competition is with my Wyvern. It's going to be with the Wyvern. So the entrance fee, even if you know how to fold it, like from the crease pattern, if you've reverse engineered it or participated in the Origami World Marathon, you still have to buy the diagram to be entered. I have a cross check thing. So how it's going to work is like you either buy the diagram or you buy the diagram in a bundle with Bodo's horse, and then that's your entry into the competition. And even though it's that way, I'll make sure the prize is well worth it. Will I teach the model at Peacock? I don't think so. I have a different model plan for Peacock. But we'll see. You know, it depends. Maybe like I don't know if I want to teach a model I'm selling diagrams of at Peacock. I'm not sure like if people do that, but we'll see. If enough people want it and they want to buy the diagrams after taking the class, maybe we'll see how that works out. But it's very fun. Okay, very quick before we jump in, let me get a sip of my lemonade. My friend thinks Darkness Dragon is easier than Pocket Dragon. Yeah, that's definitely not true. Okay. Last thing. For people coming to the Origami USA convention, I purchased a collection of books from an origami folder who unfortunately no longer has time to fold, but wanted his collection to go to a good use. Or to people who will use it. And so me, being the giveaway person, was like, hey, I'll buy the whole collection. I'll make sure these books get to people who will fold from them, you know, who really want to fold, who might not be able to get these books in general. This is, okay, besides this one, this is works by Hojo Takashi. Very good book. This is all the Satoshi Kamiya books. The works with the Ryujin crease pattern, the real one, right? And works by Satoshi Kamiya 1 through 3. This whole set is very hard and very expensive to get. I think I've seen these books listed for around $100 each, except this one. This one I think is still in print. Not sure, but at least these three, right, can go between 70 and 100 US dollars each. Hard to get. I'm not sure if I'm giving away them as a full set or if I'll give one away. But if you have ideas on what games or challenges you want to play at the Origami USA convention or Peacock, I'll have books to give out at Peacock as well. Let me know, because I want to do some, I want to reward through challenges or games these books. I think it'll be pretty fun. I think in general conventions are very open to everyone, but what's missing a little bit is, maybe some competitive edge or competitive fun, nothing too crazy, but just something with a prize other than maybe a pack of kami, right? So on my own, I'm hosting some giveaways or competitions in the free time with some pretty valuable prizes. So again, I have a full set of Satoshi books. I've got Hojo Takashi. I've got Potential. I gave this away at Peacock 2023. Origami Dragons. Actually, this book, I had 3 of them. I had some of the first copies in the US, so they weren't even really being sold yet when I gave it away at Peacock. We've got Dragons Premium. Amazing book. One of my favorite books. This one I think I'm hanging on to. I don't have this book personally. Same with this one. This is an old book. We have a One Park dollar bill origami. We got Nature Study Shukikado. And I got some more I think I have some Tantedons. I need to check if I have them in my personal collection, but if I have 2 copies, it's going to be part of the giveaway. So yeah, I'm sitting on some pretty cool stuff. So if you guys are attending the conventions this year, be very excited and give me some ideas. Okay, so let's get started into the main topic. I know I've kind of left chat. You guys are talking a lot too. YouTubers who post Satoshi Kamiya models are goated. I disagree. I think if they're posting tutorials of the books, it's copyright infringement. So I'm very against it, actually. But I am very for supporting the books and giving the books away for free after they've been purchased. More books, not sure my brain can take it. It's a lot of books, but it's a lot of fun, right? What did I miss? You didn't miss too much yet, Realms. Thanks for tuning in. Aversine, hola. How are you? Could you help me with crease pattern? I can't directly help you with crease patterns, but hopefully my crease pattern class will help you out. Unless it's one of my designs, then I can probably help because I'm familiar with it. And which you can send me a message on Instagram. I'll do my best. But if it's someone else's, I don't really try to solve other people's crease patterns for people. I incentivize them to learn how to do it themselves. Yeah, you guys know. Okay, cool. So office hours. Let's get into this. Let me switch on over to Discord. That's Oriedit. So that's a challenge I'm actually there for myself. Let's pull up. Okay, here we go. So we're just going to start off with the OBB members. This one is not really constructive criticism. This is just up for review. Again, people who are part of the OBB membership through YouTube, they're doing some extra to support the channel. Thank you to all those members. So whenever I stream, I'll try to review something they want to take a look at. And this is Mark Ogami. Y'all might be familiar with Mark Ogami. He's here a lot. He's one of the stream mods and a crazy talented designer, co-designer of the Square Twist Samurai. He's working on cooking an old recipe, but a little bit different. So Mark, one of his specialties is scales and wings, or using scale designs as wings. So you can see here we have a scaled / feathered bird in progress, and this thing's got a lot of feathers. And one thing I really appreciate about Mark's designs is that the feathers for the wings are different than the ones for like the small body feathers. So there's a lot of texture going on. This looks absolutely crazy. In progress, so it's not done yet. I'm excited to see what's going to happen next. But that's it for there. Let's hop on over to Origami Dan. We are going to the constructive criticism. Looks like there might be, there was a watch party earlier, people hanging out, but here we are. I asked people in this Discord to ping me and let me know if they wanted to be featured. So I think we have to scroll up quite a ways. There are quite a bit that people wanted to get some constructive criticism with. And I think I will try to go in order as much as I can. Let's see where I dropped my message. It's yesterday. Okay, starting here. So I don't know if they responded to me. So I think we will skip that for now, but thank you for folding my sword and shield. I guess I do have one tip. We'll just start here because this is the message I pinged off of. What's up, Kian? I haven't watched your streams in so long. This is my bad, man. I haven't streamed in so long, but thanks for tuning in. I'm glad you could watch today. You have to eat dinner, Jason? That's okay. We're going to be streaming for quite a bit, so you can probably eat dinner and come back, and I'll be on for like an hour after that too. Yeah, eat with your parents. It's important to be present. You can watch later, and this is recorded. No worries. Speaking of recordings, I'm going to start my recording because I want to try to turn some of my advice into videos if it's really useful. So thank you for reminding me inadvertently. Shout out to Kian. Okay, eat origami. I don't know how nutritional that is. Kermac model. You see it. You see it. Dinner's more important. Eat quickly. Cart boy, what's up, dude? Thanks for tuning in. Hello, hello. Carmack is one of the designers whose designs have defining. Okay, cool, nice. Full note origami magic ball at the moment. Very, very neat. Okay, so let's start with some of the constructive criticisms, and I brought this one up in particular. They asked, some CC. I think some CC that people already gave are great, but one question about the shield. What can you do with shields? And I started doing this. Let me show you my new models, right? And I'll show the solution that I found to making the shields look clean. And this isn't a technique I invented. This is like what people call kind of the Kimuro method, except this one's a little bit more pure because we're not actually adding any paper, but we are doing a process of retreating the paper. So let me do that. I don't know if this chat box is working, but we'll have it to decide. Okay, y'all can see this. Let's grab Legion armor and the Rathalos armor. And I don't think this is going to happen, but if we run out of things to give constructive criticism for, I'll start working on my new design, which is going to be basically the third video game armor of this series. And then after I finish that, subscribers, so all of you guys, all of y'all will help vote on which one gets a tutorial. Okay, so this is Legion armor. I think I can take this off the stand. Let me oh, looks like I tried to 3D print like a screw so this could go in easier, but I think the thread's just ripped. But I'll probably use some glue to secure this a little stronger later. But sorry, I like custom fit this display stand into the legs. Isn't that pretty cool? And then I used the Vanta Black paint to make it so it doesn't reflect, so it's like pretty hidden. It's not the actual Vanta Black, it's this one, Black Tie, Black 4.0 by Stuart Semple. Okay, that might be featured later. I'm still playing around with making my displays nicer. Hopefully that's a decent method, and I have like a laser cut leather base. Okay, so the technique I'm talking about for shields, right? If you look at this one, okay, this one's not super clean. Actually, you can kind of see most, because I actually painted it, you can still see some of the grid lines, but it's relatively flat. But something that turned out like super nice is actually this sword. Do you see how flat that sword is? Right? A lot of times if you're working with thinner paper and you're doing something like a sword, even with you methyl cellulose it'll still warp the paper and the sword will kind of come out wobbly. Like this, right? The sword and shield is really thin, so it's like curving out. It's like a little bit wrinkly. Right, so basically all I'm doing is I'm using like a smaller, my cutting board or surface, and I just prop the model like this, and I'm re-MC treating it flat to the surface and letting it dry there, so that after it's dry, it's like super crispy and thin. And since we're like retreating it, some of the creases even fold out, and you know, I don't know, it makes it nice. It's like this is one layer thick, right? And it turned out like this. Now it's still pretty delicate, so over time it's gonna wrinkle and get messed up, but for now, not bad. And then same thing I did here, except then I folded it and used some paint, and that kind of warped it again, so the corners aren't super good, but I think that kind of helps play to the effect. As you can see, I did quite a number on the paint job here. I think there's a question about painting. I've been trying to get better myself. I'm not perfect yet, but there is a lot of techniques I used in this one itself to make it look weathered, other than just dry brushing. Dry brushing is not new to origami, but some of those techniques of using washes with dry brushing and over brushing and stuff like that, I think add another layer where the paint looks intentional. But okay, so that's my CC. Maybe I went too long for that. We might go a little bit faster for these. That's my CC for the night, is try doing that half Kimuro method, see how it works out for you. Okay, next one up, we have Butterfingers. Made these designs a couple months ago. I feel like my arthropod shaping has pretty much plateaued and feels kind of roughshod. Want to know how to make them better. Springtail on the right side from DT, crayfish on the left side from single tissue. Okay, let's take a look at the crayfish first. And my first piece of advice, which we're going to do now, is to look at references from life, especially if you are folding something representational. If you're doing something stylized, like a cartoon crayfish, that's actually harder because you need to define the style and make that intentional first. But for the constructive criticism I'm giving here, I'm going to assume reference from life. Yo, Liam O'Hara, dude, thank you for joining the OBB membership, man. Dude, that's my boy from middle school and I think a little bit of elementary school, dude. What's up, man? Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining the membership. Long time no see. That's awesome. Gaurav, what's up, Gaurav? Glad to see you in the stream as well. I'm glad you got to join in. Okay, let's use this crayfish as a reference. Right. So kind of keep a mental picture with that. I'm going to be using this as I give some critique, but yeah, it might be kind of hard overall to show exactly. All right, so Kabir, hello. Como, will you show painting techniques on a future live stream? Yeah, I think so. I think once I get good enough at it, where I feel like I can give good tips on how to do it, I'll definitely show on stream. Or it'll be a video, one or the other. Sky says, I shaped the Legion armor very badly. If you folded it, honestly, the model itself is very, very hard to shape. So I think some people in the comments asked, like, how hard is this one? It's super hard. The design structure is a little experimental. So it's what we would call, it's a little cursed. Now it kind of worked out for my end. Sorry, I'm going on a little tangent here, but right. If you can see the back, the spacing of how the arms are laid out is not to what your typical box pleat human is. It is axial, but right, it's thinner than the 2-unit axis that normal models are, and that lets the arms become longer, and that's why I was able to shape it down. I think you made the comment that the arms were too short, but they would only be too short if you didn't do this transition structure. If you kept it as the 2-axis width, then you'd have something like a 3-unit arm with 1-unit fingers, but in this case it stretches out back to the 4-unit arm with fingers some 5 units or 6-unit long in theory, and that way the arms will properly be proportioned. It is a little bit thicker in this arm, so this one might be like a tad short, but overall, like, I really had to work hard to shape this enough, and I think there are still some mistakes. I don't think the mistakes is that the arms are not long enough. I think the legs are shaped too wide, and then the helmet is a little bit too large as well. But yeah, this is honestly when the tutorial voting comes out, I hope people don't vote for this one. It is pretty cool, but the helmet's super hard to shape. It's just going to be really hard to teach. Even though the Rathalos armor has like way more details, it's like it's going to be easier to teach. It's like overall a better design, I guess. Okay, so sorry, tangent. Okay, crayfish. Let's choose a color to draw. Is this working? That's orange. Let's use blue. Okay, so I'm using my crayfish reference. So I think what Butterfingers was trying to do is, like, starting off here, we have like the top part of the shell, which is this. But overall, especially starting here, it's a little too boxy and flat. So I know this is a side profile, but I can notice from here that it's just boxed out the other side. And like these, it should probably be, there's like definitely like thinner and structured here. So on the real one, I can see the ridges. It's not like super curvy, but there's definitely volume this way to define the ridges instead of just using something like pleats like we do in origami. So the critique here is look at life when you're both designing and shaping this so that you can give the proper shape. Because I think even if this was shorter, but the same width, which is just a design thing, right? You would already start to get better proportions. And instead of, you already have partials for the pleats here, but you have a full unit as the width. If you didn't do the full width, oops, can I erase? Right, and you also did a partial for the tail, or it could be you just fold it in half, right? Then the proportions are going to start to look, you know, more realistic to a crayfish. Like the tail should be here, right? Maybe it's a little bit thicker, and then out of the abdomen you have the legs, right? That's another thing here. You have some legs coming out from where the tail is. When I'm looking at the reference, there's only one leg segment that starts at the connection between the abdomen and the tail. So there's one leg here, and the others are other 2 or 3 come out more towards the front of the body. Design wise, also, right, these should be longer, these claws. Crayfish claws reach out past the head. A lot of times they use them, it almost looks like they're walking on their claws. So that's my CC here. It's just a little structure and proportion. And then the solution is reference yourself from life. Okay, next one is the springtail. So let me look up a springtail. These are like the small insects that are in soil. So here's another image for reference. Right, I think kind of the same advice follows, right? Like, sure, you have the partials for the pleats, but the main issue with it is that it's all 1 unit width. But when you look at a springtail, it's like round, right? They're like, they're thicker towards the tail end, so they're kind of like a potato shape or a pear. They're kind of like this shaped. And they have a lot more pleats. So this looks like you used a ridge. You used a ridge. Wow, I'm like stuttering. It's a ridge pleat, a ridge shifter. Like on the ridge, you squash folded the ridge. I don't know the math ratio for that, but it's what you would call on a steep edge or a 45-degree edge. I don't know your angle here, but you want to use a shallow edge. So that's going to be like what I mean by shallow edge is if you have a structure like this. Wait, that's a triangle. Like here's a box pleat ridge. Let's try to draw like a Pythag. Okay, this is, I'm not freehanding this very well. Which is a parallelogram. So say this is a Pythag, right? I don't know if this is exactly what you use, but if you're in the hex pleating, this is a little bit easier to do. This angle would be like the steep edge. So every time you ridge squash, it's going to be like further apart because the grid is coming out like it's probably not coming out that way, but it's like coming this way, but there's less of them, right? So there's 3 within that, but there's probably also 3 coming this way here. This might not be fully correct, but this would be shallow because the distance is a lot closer. So when you do your ridge squash, they're going to be a lot closer together. And instead of them being like this far apart, the next pleat will be like here, right? So it consumes more space per pleat. Like you don't get as much distance, but that's what you're going to want here for this design. If that's the structure you're going to use. but it's a little bit rough. Also for springtails, I don't know if you can exactly see their legs. They're mostly body. I see some smaller ones you can see the legs, so that might be an okay thing, but definitely the body, like this part should be wide. Okay, that's from Butterfingers. Keep designing. I think you're doing good. Okay, here's Bodo's challenge. I'm not doing this one yet. I'll show the Bodo challenge later, but that was pretty funny. I think next up we have Slater. Slater's still here. And we have a fold of Obelisk's Asuna. So this is by Ob. This is Asuna design. Asuna is a character from the anime Sword Art Online. If people have watched it, I'd say like the first half of the first season is amazing. The rest of it, pretty questionable. And then I've heard the last seasons are okay, but I haven't seen them. It's called a crawdad, not crayfish, by the way. Nice. That's I'm not from the South, but I believe you that they're crawdads. I think I saw something about that before. Oh, Mark. What's up, Mark? I don't know if you're here when I reviewed your submission, but I did. That looks very cool. I'm very excited to see that. Rodrigo, thank you for joining the membership as well. Sorry I missed that earlier. What's up? Rodrigo, which do you think is like a path to progress in origami? Okay, that's a great question. I'll answer that before I review this model. I think the path, right? So let's I wonder how I can do this. Maybe I can just draw here. Can I add my drawing thing? You know what? We're gonna draw this by hand. Okay. This is the path for origami. I don't have a dry erase marker. Let me grab. Okay, you know what? We're just gonna use this sketch pad because. Did I actually draw something on this? Oh, I did a long time ago. Okay, we're gonna go like deep here. Path for origami, right? Is this bright enough for y'all? I feel like my... Okay, it's auto ISO. Yeah, no, this should be fine. Okay. Path. Let's say to get better or to improve. Sorry, my handwriting's messy here. At origami. Okay. First thing, fold until you can't. And I think most people have done step one already, right? Fold as much as you can until you can't anymore, until you start hitting a point where something needs to change for you to get better, right? Maybe you tried an intermediate model and you failed. Next, it's probably because of paper, but that's going to be step 3. So step 2 is shape. Okay, so before we get into getting better resources, we're going to use what we currently have and maximize. So maybe even all you have is printer paper or kami. Fold until you can't. Use what you can fold and just make it as best as you can. So start shaping. A lot of people won't do this. They don't even do this with once they get double tissue paper until they learn about it. But you can start this with printer paper. Back when I was folding with printer paper, I tried to maximize how I could shape with printer paper. Now, it wasn't that great, but it changed the way I thought about folding and gave me those skills so that by the time I could use better paper, I was already shaping and I could use the better paper to its full potential, or not its full potential, but more of its potential, right? Using better paper doesn't make better origami, but it enables you to if you know how. Okay, so then 3 is learn we're going to say to make. We're not really making paper. But I know I'm writing with a Copic. I probably shouldn't be doing this, but that's okay. Okay, learn to make paper. So that's double tissue. I have the ultimate paper guide. You can at least watch that. If you don't have, say, the money at the moment to buy the materials, that's a separate issue, but you can at least watch the videos, right? So that's your third step. And then I think after that, once you can do that, then you can read crease patterns, right? This is like not super necessary. I think you could stop at 3 and be happy for a really long time. But reading crease patterns not only will help you in folding from diagrams or videos, or it won't just let you fold from crease pattern, but it will make you better at folding from diagrams, folding from videos. Because what reading crease patterns gives you is an awareness of what's happening inside of the model while you're folding it. So for me, there is no diagram that is difficult. I don't find any of them hard. The only place that is challenging is a space where I do not understand what the diagram step is trying to tell me. But that's still very rare because I know how to read crease patterns. I did crease papers. Because I know how to read crease patterns, a lot of times I can guesstimate what the move is based on the structure of the paper. And then I can understand the step. I think even if you don't know how to read crease patterns, people find diagrams hard. They're not actually physically hard. It's just a gap in understanding, right? So this helps fill a lot of gaps of understanding without you realizing it. So, and then let's see. I don't want to go too far, but if you're gonna like get into really advanced origami, study shaping. So I think shaping can take you really, really far. So I know that was step 2, but like now you're at a more intermediate complex level, and then shaping is like infinite, right? You look at someone like Alan, who shapes really, really well. He doesn't design much. I don't know if he even does design, but his shaping is like top tier, right? So shaping can go really, really far. You can pretty much always improve at shaping. So I think this is the path to improve at origami. And if you like, even I can continue to study shaping. That's kind of what we're doing today for a lot of these designs. This can go infinite, as people would say. Hopefully that answers your question. Thanks for advice, Barfy. Oh, banality of paper. Yo, hopefully that helps, man. I'm excited to see the next iteration of your designs. Good stuff. What's up, Neil Slater? That's my. Oh, it's your design, Slater. This is. Oh my goodness. Sorry. This is not the obelisk. I did not miss that. Okay, I take that back. This is original design by Slater of Asuna from Sorta Online. My bad. Sorry, Slater. So original design. This is really a really awesome design. It's so good that I didn't even. I compared it to Obelisk. I hope that's a compliment because Obelisk is insane. But my bad, Slater. That's my bad. What's up, Ethan? I didn't have any designs in my work. I want you to rethink that, Ethan, because if you can change your mind and everything is a building step forward, right? You might not think it's worth it, but if you can view it as like a stepping block forward and that it would have been worth to share, I think there'd still be some advice that could help. But hopefully, yeah, it's okay. Hopefully the advice I'm talking about others, you can also maybe apply to some of your folds. Okay, Kabir was asking some questions. I think the messages are getting retracted for some reason. But Kabir asked, if I try to do a model from a diagram of a book and I can't understand a step, how can I solve that problem? So a lot of it is understanding that that there's that gap. And then it's either you try to, the easiest way is, you learn crease patterns, you understand that structure, you go back to it. Oh, I know that structure. This is just that same crease pattern structure in diagram form. And a lot of times in diagrams, they'll have the crease pattern in the front, right? So sometimes you can compare. Sometimes that's not the issue. If you can read crease patterns, the advantage is you can pretty much unfold the entire model, look at what the pre-creasing shows, and or draw, right, the mountains and valleys, so that it shows what the structure is. And then when you look at that, and if you know how to read crease patterns at a basic level, a lot of times you'll understand what's happening. So like a lot of people get stuck on unsinks or closed sinks, right? The closed sinks are pretty easy actually to understand, but there's like unwraps and weird swivels and 3D collapse steps. Most of that is just awareness of the paper. So if you're able to unfold, look at these creases, be like, oh, this comes together like that and it wraps on top, then that's the gap of knowledge filled. Sometimes you just have to step away, and who knows, later on you'll have done that move in a different design that you recognize, but it was drawn in a better way. And then you can go back and you'd be like, oh, I've done this before now. Now I know how to do it. Okay. That was the answer. Sorry, I'll jump to Slater's design. Okay, Slater, there is not much I can actually provide constructive criticism on, because I think this is very, very well done. But we can get picky, I guess. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna get picky. Now, this is an anime styled human, so proportions are a little bit different than like a real human. So I'm gonna take that into effect, but I think there are still some, like a lot of even anime proportions are from life. So if anything, the thigh gap here is like way too big, right? So like if we're taking a look at the body shape, if I'm comparing it to what Asano looks like, this is a little bit too much gap. I don't know if this is how the photo's taken or something like that, but that's like the main thing that sticks out to me. Again, I'm getting really like picky. I think overall the model vibe works even with that, but like again, if we're getting really picky, I think the knee here, right? Again, this could just be from the photo, but maybe not, because I can kind of see it. That knee is just like, it's not quite right. Like the kneecap should sit over the shin bone, right? It should be kind of, it looks like it's floating. This is super hard to do. It's like, even with my models, it's so hard to achieve that. But there, I think you could have improved it just a little bit. And then it's like the ankle is facing this way. The knee is like that way. But then it's like faced the other way. So it's like the ankle's like really turned in, which is a little bit strange. Now, naturally, like on humans, right, our knees do kind of bow in if we're standing straight. Let me try to draw. This is like a really bad drawing, but like if we roughly have the legs, like the knees, they do bow in a little bit naturally. This is terrible, but look at some references. There is some like inward bow. So this is outwards, and it just makes the ankles like a little bit extra weird. Other than that, man, I think things to keep. This pose is really good where the hip is this way. It makes it quite like sassy, right? It's kind of what it's going for. So that kind of vibe is really good. I think that's neat. That's really hard to do with models. A lot of models are just stand up straight and then put the hand pose, and it looks really static. But here you have a more dynamic pose with that. I think that's super cool. Last thing to be picky, paper's a little thick here, layers, paper's a little bit thick here for the color change so it bleeds through. But again, that's just like really small nitpick stuff that's not super constructive. But hopefully the first part was a little constructive, if that makes sense. It's double tissue. That's pretty good double tissue for the color separation. Is this the as double tissue? Because that would make sense. But great color separation. Okay. It's the Bodo challenge. Okay, I'll still save that for later. Okay, here we have the next one by Intellectual Extinction. You're bad at drawing. Yeah, I am bad at drawing. By the way, a tip on all that proportion stuff: if you practice drawing, you might be bad at drawing like me, but the more you practice, the better you'll get, obviously, and that can translate to your origami. So if you can draw very well and you study academic drawing or something like that, which is there's a lot of free stuff online, you can get pretty good. And even though I'm bad at it, just studying it has helped me with my own designs. Not perfect at it yet, but it's definitely helping my understanding of where things should be. Mai says my designs are all trash because I do a lot of free folding. Again, I think you should rethink the way or redo the way you're thinking of it. Don't think of designs as trash. Think of designs, even if they're failed. It's okay if it's a failed design, but that failure is a building block, right? If you call it trash, that kind of means you're throwing it away, right? It's trash. I wouldn't throw those away. I'd see what can you learn from that, even if it was free folding, even if it was just for fun, right? You can build on everything you do if you think about it constructively, which that's the point of the stream, constructive criticism. If you throw things away, you kind of lose that knowledge. So don't be too hard on yourself. Obviously, don't gas yourself up. Don't be like, I'm amazing. This is so good. You know, I think there's a balance of like humility and understanding a failure without being ego-y, right? You don't want to be ego-y. And I hope I don't come off as ego-y doing this stream. I have a lot to work on too. It's just hopefully some of my experience can help people get there. Because I think I've reached a point of understanding where I can recognize something that's not so good and what could be better. But yeah. So there's like a lot of mental part of it too. The way you think of designs, like, also the reason why I say that is I think the thing that catches a lot of origami folders the most out is burnout, and you'll hear that term everywhere. Oh, I burned out. Oh, I burned out doing this. I'm burnt out from school. I'm burnt out from work. Blah blah blah. And if you're burnt out from origami, right? Origami is supposed to be fun, so it means you're doing it wrong or thinking about it wrong. So if we can avoid burnout as much as possible, then even if your growth rate is slower than you think it should be, it's going to surpass what it could have been if you burnt out. If you burnt out, you stopped, right? That means you threw everything out. So don't burn out. She's an Ozempic. That's a crazy statement. That's Nara asks, what do you think? What type of origami people are more interested in to buy? That's a good question, Nara, and I think we shouldn't necessarily think about what type of origami people want to buy, but more so what are the type of people who want to buy origami? You know what I mean? It's not necessarily we're making our product to sell. We're trying to find someone to buy our product, right? And that's at least in my personal experience, which is very limited and it doesn't speak for all of the niche, but I've been a lot more successful targeting and finding the people who want to buy origami than trying to make an origami that people want to buy, if that makes sense. Because not many people have money to spend on origami. It's not as broad of an audience, so it's harder to do that. It's harder to stoop down to a very small audience. And you might not even know what the audience is. If you can just directly target that audience, it's a little bit easier. It's still very, very hard, but I've sold my fair share of models by doing that for a pretty decent price. So we're just saying for sure, I'll think of his legs a bit. Yeah, no one's complained about thick legs, right? Double tissue I painted white on. Oh, that's smart. So you have kind of an extra layer of the white to get that color separation. That's nice. That's really nice. Okay. Sorry. Hot take before I go into this one. Slater, one more thing. This is kind of a hot take because I'm coming at this in a perspective purely for aesthetics and less about purity. But sometimes it might be better. Like if you know this section is going to be thick when you have a double layer, don't put the double layer tissue in this section, right? So if this is just a single tissue and the red, it doesn't have to be there, and you know that, you can leave this as single. It's going to be thin. And vice versa in this section, if you allow some of the red to like go through the other layer, like if that's the method to like delete that, I mean, you can probably just valley fold that to the other side, it'll hide. But like there are some tricks that are less pure in terms of origami that are like kind of okay to make it look better. Completely hot take. You can throw that out if you want, but for some of my color change models, I've done some things like that I feel okay still calling it one sheet of paper. Because it's technically, it's like less than one sheet of paper, but it's up to people. Okay, let's go to this next design by Intellectual Extinction. It's been a while since I streamed, but I'm reminding myself that I yap about things for like extra long. So maybe it's a good thing there's not like too many submissions, but we'll still try to get through these. Okay, this design, there wasn't a title given to this design. Intellectual Extinction, if you're in the chat, which I don't know if you are, please let me know what this design is. Otherwise, I'm going to try to guess. It looks like some sort of assassin that is maybe an elf. And I see that because I think these are pointy ears. And this is either hair or horns here. This one certainly looks like a horn. I'm not sure about this. And then this is like hair. Right, we have the obvious face. We've got the hair in the back. I'm just kind of framing this. This is maybe a scarf. So I don't know if this is, yeah. Also, if this is an elf, I'm not sure of the gender, which is okay, but we'll just say elf warrior. There is a skirt, so maybe I will give constructive criticism if you're aiming for a more feminine or a more masculine look in terms of like traditional fantasy art, which yeah, like if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense to people. But I think either way is fine. It's just like you want your definition to look intentional, whatever it might be. Instead of maybe we'll just say like a strong warrior. And I think the tips I'll give kind of work with both. For one, in this case, the body is like this. It's like boxy, right? So regardless of what you're aiming for, I think you either make the shoulders wider than the hips, right? Or you make the shoulders thinner, but still have some type of curve, maybe wider at the hips, and even not like you just want some sort of balance. You don't want the hips and the shoulders to be the same, is basically what I'm saying. Either way is okay. But right now it's like blocky. So that will let's just say it's more streamlined this way. I think some similar things are shared. This foot is facing this way. The knee here isn't really defined and it's pointing straight out. If you try to do that in real life, right, it's like I'm definitely not flexible enough to do that. So that's like a little bit of a there's like, again, some studying of proportion will kind of help with where these are supposed to lie. Like even if it is facing down a little bit, it's not that far to the side. Another type of thing here is, so I'm just going to assume the body is like this. We have the neck, we have the face. These arms are like way too long. If I put that arm down to the side, it's like past the knee. You know what I'm saying? If I elongate this, it's like past the knee, like the foot's here, the knee's here. So the arms, if you stand up straight by your sides, okay, you can't really see, but it's like on your thigh, a little past the bottom of your waist. So there's just like my main constructive criticism would be check your proportions in your design. It'll probably help it to be easier to shape, and then it'll make the overall form better. After that, you can worry about more of the other shaping. So I won't really mention some of the shaping things I'd recommend. I'd recommend starting with the proportions, and then it'll make it easier to shape well. My knees do that. My knees. My knees bow inwards. Okay, yeah. They don't bow outwards. Yeah. If you look at yourself in the mirror, standing straight up, you'll notice it slightly bows inwards. I don't throw my origami away. Good. My room would be best if I didn't throw away. Yeah, I mean, if it's at that point of folding, maybe you can throw some away, but don't think of it as trash, right? Smart. If you saw what was going on in the crease pattern, you would be cooking me. Hey, Slater, it's okay. My design is very inefficient, and a lot of my structures are known to be cursed. So I don't think I'm in a place to cook you there. Maybe I could provide some advice, like if the legs are weirdly in the middle, not in like a edge. But yeah. Pradeep Sharma, hello. Love for India. Thank you. India is starting to be a very growing origami community. So thank you. Cheers to India. What's up, Jason? You're back. How was dinner? Hopefully it was pretty tasty. By the way, I do origami at night. My mom just won't let me. You should respect your mom, but if you can find time, you can communicate that with her on what time you want to be working on origami, because a balanced lifestyle is healthier. I'm not one to talk because my life isn't very balanced, but communicate with your mom if you want to fold more origami. I think if you can give her a valid reason, like, hey, this is a skill that it's not just, for fun, but I can actually learn some real life skills and coordination from it, even math or business, that's why I want to be involved in this. I'm sure she will, especially at your age. If you say something like that, she'll let you fold a little bit more. Okay, next one, we got the Kermac design. Actually, this is not the one Kermac wanted to share, but I will take a look at it. It looks crazy. I think this is some sort of spider crab or spider. It reminds me more of a crab because of all these spikes, like an Alaskan king crab or a Japanese a spider crab. But that's a crease pattern that's pretty insane. I don't know why you can't see it here, but the grid is divided by 2, so everything's like partial. I don't think that's how it really is, but I will say this is relatively low grid for Kermac, which would normally be my constructive criticism. Okay, so here's the one he wanted me to review. And then after this, or before this, was the question about starting a YouTube channel. I'll talk about that after I review Kermac's design. This is a Baryonyx. It's a type of dinosaur. I'm not very involved in dinosaurs, so I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Named it Barry. I think that's a valid name. And it's a tilted grid model. So I am not an expert on tilted grid. I will say that from the start. So I don't know how much of the design I can critique. Sorry. I think it's actually pretty efficient if using tilted grid. Tilted grid is generally one of the more efficient design paradigms. And even just taking a look at this wire graph, the proportions look pretty good, right? So I think if anything, I will talk more about the shaping and or paper choice as constructive criticism. And we'll go from there. What do you mean by cursed? Unpleasant? Yeah, okay, so let me actually show the crease. We'll take a slight tight tangent. I'll answer that question really quick. Let's orient it. Okay. Here's the crease pattern for the Legion armor. It's a 32 grid because it was supposed to be a fast fold and fast design. What the 32 grid meant was meaning I squeezed like a little too much in. But again, I'm not using Pythas, so it's not necessarily that efficient. And like this, using a meander like this is not really that great. It works, but it's not really that great. This structure is one of the most cursed hand structures I've used slash come up with. The advantage is that you can swivel the sword and turn into partials, or basically just sync fold everything separately from the hand, and it still rotates enough. So like, it fits cleanly the hilt into the hand, but the hand itself is a nightmare to collapse. It's a nightmare to collapse. And if you don't believe me, you can try it. And what's worse is I also meandered it, right? So it's a meander with a 3x2 flap structure. This is so bad. And like, collapsing it is one thing, but then I basically sync fold everything. So like the real structure looks like this with the sync folds, and then like the bisector sync fold, except it's like kind of off, right? Something like that. Those are really nasty to do too. And then the way to get these middle flaps outwards works really well in this fashion, where it's 3 on the edge. Works totally nice. I have the tutorial for the assassin with that same structure. Makes really nice hands. When you turn it like this, it's awful. It's super bad. Hard to get clean. So that's what I mean by like cursed. So like grid size is great. 32 is not a big grid. But then like some of these things, like I get like this whole thing where it's like, okay, we have these 2 unit flaps for the front of the skirt, and then it like shifts upwards a little bit and meanders out because it's on an odd interval. And then the body is like length 3, which is odd, and just doing things odd in origami and box pleat makes things kind of weird. So now the ridge shift is stuck into a level shifter, and we've got this weird thing going on. And then it was meant to be a level shifter that terminates, but it actually just goes towards the end. Yeah, it's not the greatest design work, but it works. You know what I mean? You can shape it to make it look like how I shaped it, but here's like the collapsed base. It doesn't really tell you anything. Good luck. I don't recommend folding this. It was supposed to be quick. It turned out kind of bad. Compared to like okay, Rathalos, this one is like way better. Pretty much everything is used. There's enough river for everything. It's not on the odd length. I think the body is 2. The body is 2, right? So it's even. There's enough space for the neck. The only weird part is this, but it actually collapses kind of nicely. This is a little bit weird for the shield, but the structure works because I can elongate the shield without putting it in the same structure. The fingers, again, this structure is really nice. It's not meandered. This is just stacked fingers, super easy to shape. You don't even have to sync fold those. This stuff is the experimental stuff. It kind of works. I don't know if it's good or bad yet, but it works. A lot better than the other one, right? So this is the crease pattern here. This area is an inverted flap. That's pretty cursed, but it's not too bad. Okay, so oh man, all these tangents. Okay, hopefully that answered your question. Let's go back to critiquing this. I'm gonna go a little fast on this Kermac. Okay, so in terms of shaping, I think the design structure is cool. It's tilted grid, right? Very unique. For one, next time you post a CC, give me the right orientation of the photo so I don't have to turn it. But I think some of these are probably things you've heard before. This might be a thing about wet shaping. Now, the paper you use looks like some sort of foil or terry foil. You can't wet shape it with methyl cellulose, but you can glue it, right? That's just the sacrifice you have to make if you use terry foil. Glue kind of works to hide these layers. That, or just get better foil or larger foil so you don't have these layers exposed. That kind of ruins the point of tilted grid if you have these layers exposed, right? Some here as well. What makes Shuki Kato's designs really good is that the tilted grid helps do the ERM stuff to make it seamless, right? Now, if you're seeing the seams between the seamlessness, that's where you start losing the effect into all of Tilted Grid. So it's mostly like a shaping type thing. And even though it's harder to shape Tilted Grid models because they're structured out, okay, I think you could still add some curvature in the body. Again, even Shukikado's models, they're closed belly because he shapes in the layers. He actually gives extra in his designs normally, so he can just shape it in and make it round. That's how a lot of his closed bellies work. They're not like closed. They're like, it's open and then it overlaps and then it closes. I guess structure. No, I think this can even be solved in shaping too. Is like his fingers are a little small, right? This is probably something you can fix. Just shaping. Maybe if you want, you can drop it into a partial. I don't know how bad that would be in Tilted Grid, but if this is on the edge, should be no problem. The eye here, there's another shaping thing. Instead of just squash folding it, right? You can do the same squash fold, but instead of so let me draw it bigger, right? Instead of doing this, you can start with that and do another tinier squash fold. This is how it looks. Basically it might not look it. I think it's going to start rounding the corner. So it's going to be like, and it makes the eye shape like more eye shaped than just like a flat, and like this is a valley fold behind it. Right. So even with that, you can like lift it and swivel it, squash it a little bit more to make it more eye shaped. Just like very small things, shaping wise, you can probably add. Also with this structure, the eye is sitting on top of the face, right? I think a lot of times eyes should be set into the face. And the easy way to fix that is like you have this structure here like this. Right? So use this edge as the brow and just like curve it down so that the edge gives some depth to the eye. Right? And that's a super easy fix there. Again, just with shaping. Just like a little valley fold here so that it adds some depth to the eye. That way the eyes aren't like sitting on top of the face like this. Right? Okay. Overall, very cool. Let's see. Okay, so we have. Okay, this is also a Kermac post. Oh, Butterfingers has the crease. Okay. Okay, so Butterfingers. I was talking about this one. Okay, so this structure is what I was talking about. So, sorry, we'll jump. I'm jumping all around here. These here are steep angles. And that's why your pleats are so far apart. So I don't know if you can do this with the same structure, but if you use a shallow, so again, it would like take up way more space for the same length. I forget the compression rate. And you'd probably have to do this from a corner on its own. I don't know what the structure would look like. You'd have to cook that, but it probably wouldn't be symmetrical. But there's something you could do, even if they converge. Right, too shallow conversion, you can probably somehow turn it into pleats that come closer. Yeah, I don't know exactly what it looked like, but you might have to cook that up on your own. Very unique though. I applaud the uniqueness. This is something for sure. A lot of point split partials from a bird base with a. Yeah, so it's just bird base with strip graft. You can do a lot with that. This is elegant. I like that. You'd probably even that might even be. I know you're trying to cook this ridge stuff, but it might be better to, to do that than to do this. Okay, and this is Intellectual's crease pattern. I should have scrolled a little bit more. Intellectual. I think by taking note of what my constructive criticism was first, which is the proportion thing. Your crease pattern is going to change. So I'm not going to comment too much about the crease pattern, besides the fact that you have a lot of wasted space out here that I don't think you're using for anything. And if you're saying you're spreading the layers and it like makes a wide cloak, there's better ways to do that. I don't know. I feel like you can either use the space better or you can shrink the grid. Because I don't think these arms are like way too long, right? So I think you can actually shrink the grid a ton. Like the arms can be that. So you're saving 4 grids on each side. That brings this whole thing closer. This torso is probably too long. Okay. There's work with what I already explained and it'll change the crease pattern. Okay, how much more do we have? We've got like, there's a lot actually. Oh snap. Okay. How long am I streaming for? Let's keep going. Okay, so let's read chat for a little bit. And I think I want to talk about the question someone asked about starting a YouTube channel. But I'll talk to chat. I've been ignoring you guys for a bit. So let me I forget what a question is, but I'll answer it. All right. What's up, y'all? What's up, Omega? On Twitch. That's a bot. Okay, we're gonna ignore that. Jason, I want to talk to you about 4 nights if you want. 4 nights? Oof, that one's bad. That one's a very bad design. I don't know if you were there, Jason. Were you in that stream when I showed the crease pattern and talked about how bad of a design it was? Because it's pretty bad. It's really cursed. I could probably fix it in some way, but it's pretty bad. Okay. Oh, Jason was talking. Okay, maybe I'm out of context. Unpleasant. So he's talking about it as cursed. Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's gonna rip your paper even if you use decent DT. Fingers like that are hard to collapse. It has my curse structure. Do them row by row, fold them in half. Yep. This finger structure in the middle paper is more sensitive. True, but sometimes if it's in the very middle and it's isolated, it's okay. When it's stacked next to the sword like that, it's like really hard. What are references for the 4 nights? How do I get crease pattern for housing crisis? Do I have the crease pattern for housing crisis? So you're not gonna like it, because the house I free folded. I basically gave myself space to free fold it, and then I free folded it. So let me see if I can show it, and you can screenshot it. But again, I'm not gonna be able to help you because I honestly don't remember how I did it either. I just like. So this is the person. We got an arm. We got the head. We got the other arm, and there's a river isolating it. And here's the body river. This I guess I did. This is just ridge gouache. Leg in the middle, which is really, I bet there's a pytha that can work here that makes this better, but this is the house basically around the side. I guess it was this structure I ended up going with. Oh, okay. So this is the final crease. Yeah, so it's arm, river, body, head. This is like the torso flap. Leg. Okay, this one makes a little bit more sense. And then the house. Can't really help you there, you know what I mean? You can screenshot this. Let me find a grid for you. I think it's a 32 grid. Yeah. So basically, I tried to take the 16 grid basic human structure and graft something else. Like basically, it's in the corner, and then everything else is a graft. Which is kind of bad. Not the best approach, but it works. Or it worked enough. Brian, do you think it's possible to make a grand piano with all 88 keys? I think it's definitely possible. There's been enough crazy color change stuff that on the edge would be used for those keys, and then you could use all the internals to help make the body of the piano. It would require some crazy stuff though, like it require crazy paper for it, especially if it's black and white. Now, and then some choices, right? Obviously, the easiest thing to do would be to make the grand piano where the the cover in the back is flat. It's not open. That way you don't have to do all the strings, right? And also just the structure, it's more simple. And the only complex part of it is really the keys and then finding good space for the legs. But yeah, crazy paper for that. It'd be really big, and black and white paper is hard to make. Definitely possible though. Mas Issa, hello. Thank you for tuning in to the stream. Could do Brian Chan Wally thing with this, please. Okay, let me. Depends how much suffering. Okay, I think I'm answering these in order. I'm answering them a little bit out of order. My bad. There's a fly. Gotta get it. I opened my window to cool down my room, and of course the fly comes in. Maybe I should close my window. Okay. The fly lives another day. Ton of pleats. Yeah, I think you could just do black and white color change and be good enough. Be a little weird, but it might not be fully accurate where all the what do you call it? Like A sharp key, in the flats, the black keys would not necessarily be like a little bit. Oh, you could probably do it. It'd just be crazy. What if you want to play piano? I just get a real piano. Very interesting idea. True. You could probably just use like touchpads, right? And then program it. That'd be the easy way to do it. Not like a real piano. Keaton's back. What's up, Keaton? Someone made a working spring mechanism, so making at least. I mean, yeah, like overall it could be possible, but like again, with one single sheet, you just add every layer of complexity kind of stacks. Is it possible? Yes. Is it feasible? That's a different question. I just designed a fat little bird. Very nice. Good job, Mai. Has another bird inside. Nice. Okay, so crease patterns. Sorry, I had to close my door real quick. Sorry, not crease patterns. YouTube channels. Someone asked. I kind of want to write this on my paper as well. Tips on starting a YouTube channel. Now, not everyone is interested in social media or YouTube. And most people are not interested in starting social media or a YouTube channel, like as a business. A lot of people like the idea of doing it as a hobby or a job, but very people actually want to do what you need to do if you actually want to run a YouTube channel or like start growing YouTube channel. Not even for a job. Let's just say growing or a successful YouTube channel, right? People who want a YouTube channel generally want success. They don't want to just fail, but they don't know that they might not want to. But and the reason I know this is because the biggest mistake people do when they start YouTube channels, and I thought this was just the thing that was with kids, but it's actually with kids and adults. A lot of people make this mistake. And the number one mistake is they ask people to subscribe to them without providing value first. And so that's the number one thing on starting a YouTube channel is provide value. If someone random came up to you and asked you to do something for them, and they offered nothing in return, you probably wouldn't do it for them, right? And if they came up and said it louder, you'd probably get annoyed and it'd have the opposite reaction. You now intentionally don't want to do what they're asking for you, right? And if they do it again, okay, it keeps furthering the distance of, why do I have to do this for this person? I don't want to do this for this person. Now it's getting annoying. You know what I'm saying? So provide value first and then the people will start coming to you. So people start asking first. They're like, I just started my YouTube channel. Please subscribe. Please subscribe. They'll send you DMs. They'll DM everybody under a hashtag, right? I'm sure everybody in the chat has gotten some sort of DM from some random channel, like, please follow my channel. Please subscribe. Or you even see those videos where it's like, don't swipe away. You should subscribe on this new channel. You know, all sorts of stuff. It's like, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. You have to provide value first. That's the important thing. You don't deserve, like, if you just start something, you don't deserve anything. You haven't given anything yet. So your number one focus should be, what can I give to people? Not what can people give to me? And if you can have that framework, you can start to grow. This doesn't mean automatic success. This is just one of the components you need to have if you're actually thinking of having a growing channel. And I should probably do this ethically, because we kind of discussed before, there are some more successful channels, not naming names, but you all know the names, where they do provide value, but it's in the form of stealing. And some people are attracted to that, and it does attract people. The consequence is their reputation is one of the worst reputations in the community. The people they are stealing from, they might have been fans or have appreciated those people, but now those people like really despise them. You know what I'm saying? Or even if they don't despise them, they do not have a very good outlook on that person who's stealing their stuff. It's just like, if you steal from someone, they're probably not going to like you. You know what I mean? So this is, I guess, optional, but I think it's important. I hope you think it's important too. But I'm just being realistic. You're not going to find that everywhere. You very rarely find this. You go to any niche, you'll rarely find that. But I think it's important. Okay, number 2. Consistency. And you probably hear this a lot, but what does consistency really mean? So when people first start their YouTube, a lot of times they have an idea for one video, or they might have an idea for one series. The one video thing isn't going to get you anywhere. The one series, it might work, but then what happens is the next stuff doesn't work. And then the person is like, well, I found so much success early. Now I'm not seeing any results. Am I shadow banned? You know, what's happening? The algorithm hates me, all that. And then they burn out. So consistency, despite return, basically, is really important because, like I said, everything is a building block. Not everything's going to perform the same. You might find success a few times, and you'll find it later if you keep going, but you'll have a lot of gap. So you got to get used to this. Have a plan for videos. Have a plan on what you want to make. And this kind of ties in to don't burn out. Okay, and then next thing. This is just like videography skills. Okay, so I'm not saying that any of these things are not important. All 3 of these things are important, but you got to remember, you're making a YouTube video. The most important thing people are doing is watching it. So your visuals need to be good. The second thing people are going to be doing is listening to it. So your audio's got to be good. Then you can worry about the content you're making. And I even see this with origami. Some people make really good origami, really cool designs, and they take the worst photo of it ever. And we can see it in competitions, right? And those origami models, they might be better looking in real life, but because the photo was so terrible, it lost, right? So I know this is kind of arguable. Some people are like, quality of content is great, but if you look at viral content, in terms of success, there's a lot of trash content out there, but it either sounds good or it sounds loud or it plays with some effect or it's visually stimulating, right? We saw these brain rot, stimulating visuals, right? So it's really important. So you got to work on these skills. I'm not saying make brain rot and stuff, like try to have good quality, but learn to make good visuals. A lot of it's lighting, right? You don't need fancy cameras or anything. You need to understand lighting and making do with the gear you have. And that goes for audio as well. Recording, you can record off a phone if you have a phone. You're totally set if you have a phone, basically, for all of these things. But now with your phone, right? Record stuff like behind your blanket, under a blanket, in a carpeted room instead of a wood floor room, right? Like look up all the tricks you possibly can to make your audio better. It's a lot easier and a lot cheaper than most people realize. But if you can't upgrade, then it's worth it. And then content. Always keep, that's just, I shouldn't even have to explain that, right? You need to have content to make videos. Okay, and then I think last thing for a YouTube channel. I'll just put this broad. Study. So I've gotten the opportunity to talk with some very successful YouTubers, some very successful content creators that have millions of subscribers. That's their full-time job. They make all these videos. It's easy to look at viral content, viral creators, and not see too deep into what they're doing. Mr. Beast is kind of a bad example, right? But I think he doesn't have the best reputation nowadays. And I think a lot of people will see a Mr. Beast video and they're like, oh, it's the same thing. It's just so loud. It's just a Mr. Beast video, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's no way this guy deserves the millions of followers or whatever he has. But he's actually figured out the system. And like a lot of other YouTubers where the way they're talking might not seem the most intelligent, but I guarantee you they're actually way more intelligent than they seem because they figured out a lot of stuff about, it's like a combination of sales, like business in general, like communication skills, psychology, and even the way they're able to work and create so many videos at once. Creating videos is very hard. It's way harder than people realize to make good videos. There's a lot of intelligence behind those types of videos. Sometimes videos go viral by accident, but consistent, well-performing videos, there's a lot of intelligence. And from the people I've gotten to interview, right, they're like reading books. They think in first principles, which there's a book about reading in first principles. If you don't even know what a first principle is, have ChatGPT explain it to you. There's all these like really intelligent frameworks, which honestly, I feel like I need to read more books and gain some more knowledge. But at least I'm able to I'm trying to take the 80-20 approach. 80-20 approach is 20% of the effort for 80% of the results. So that's why I do these interviews. I try to glean what I can from their learning, and then I'll optimize the learning, right? I don't necessarily have to spend hours and read the same books all these people have read to get the same knowledge. I heard it from them, then I can use Google or ChatGPT to do a deeper study, but way faster. I can have it summarize the same books. I can expand on that topic. Like I said, you can ChatGPT what first principles are and how to start thinking in first principles. And then from there, you can use that to break down more and more complex topics. But there's a lot of intelligence behind all these videos that people really don't realize. It's pretty impressive. The more people you get to talk to face about in the content creation space, it's very, very interesting. And so I think these are 4 tips for starting a YouTube channel or social media in general, that it might not work out for you, but if you're not doing these things, it's definitely not going to work out for you. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of the game we're all playing. Even for me, I'm a relatively small channel. Retrospectively, I have a decent following, right? There's 30 of you guys watching me at once. 99% of channels have 1 or 0 people watching live streams. So the fact there's 30 of you, I think I'm already in the top, 90%, which is crazy. I don't think I'm that big. It's not my full-time job for sure, but one day I'm hoping it is. So I have to do these things and hope to get lucky. You know what I'm saying? So that's just my tips starting a YouTube channel. There's a lot more, but this is like, if you're just starting, this is what you need to make sure you're doing. And if you realize you can't do these things, that's okay. It's okay to realize that maybe making a YouTube channel wasn't all that you thought it was, and you just want to do origami and have fun, because that's more important, having fun. Okay, let's get back to... Hopefully some of y'all found that interesting. And I know a lot of people, I think even still, if you ask kids, like there's always that poll, like what do people want to do when they get older? And they say, I want to be a YouTuber. And very few people understand what that means. I ran out of water. Where's my, oh, here's my water. I'm like, I just talked a lot. I need to drink some water. Origami YouTube channel is hard to make, especially if you're teaching detail stuff. Like, yeah, it's really hard. So yeah, Nara's made some videos, and Nara for sure will know how hard it is to make tutorials. That's why I'm trying this model where, right, I make 3 models because I want to fold too. If I start just making tutorials for all my designs, I'm like I'm gonna fold like 2 things a year. You know what I'm saying? But now I can fold 3 really cool designs and have people vote on 1 tutorial. And then it's like a happy medium, hopefully, for both. Yeah, that tutorial is going to be hard. Hard to make, low-key. I'm getting better at making more complex tutorials because I can kind of min-max what people should expect. And there's plenty of people who've been folding. So I think I try to set the expectation early at what level of skill you need to be to fold these tutorials. Like, hey, you gotta have this paper minimum, which I show you how to make. And if you're not willing to do that, good luck. It probably will look bad. But if you can make it through, it's up to you. But that has led to a lot of people. There still are some where people are like, I made it out of kami. It's like, cool, but it doesn't really look good. Doesn't really make me feel good seeing my model folded badly, but hopefully you had fun. But there's a lot more of people folding it and it looks great. And I think they had fun folding it. They made it through. It's a big accomplishment. It doesn't have to look perfect, but it's cool. It's awesome. I love seeing that. A lot of people don't have enough skill to follow the master. I don't think I'm a master, but thank you. Efforts you put to make sometimes might not give you valid results, of course, but of course, results matter to stay motivated for something like these. That's true. So I think as part of the consistency I mentioned in doing YouTube channels, you got to play a long game. You can't play a short-term game. I've definitely played a very long game, right? This channel's like 7 years old of content, maybe longer. I think maybe 9 years. I can't remember. Long game. We're starting to see growth, and what I've heard is 0 to 10,000 is not as hard as 10 to 100,000. But once you're over 100,000, you start seeing a lot of results real quick in scaling. And even from I'm past the 10,000 mark. I think 0 to 10,000 was very, very hard for me. But I'm growing at a rate. So I'm less worried about number. All I'm really focusing on right now is growth rate. So I'm trying to push towards that 100,000. And that's why I'm prioritizing like shorts, for example. They're providing the most growth. So I need to do them. Even if I want to do long form, it doesn't mean I stop doing long form or stop doing live streams, but I should prioritize, or I should at least be doing some of short form. And I think I'm really good at short form. I've proved that from like my TikTok hitting like 70 something, 80,000 followers. So it is still fun for me. So I like to do that. So that's what, there's a balance and strategy you have to realize. But I'm still doing it in a way where I plan not to burn out. Financially, I'm doing okay I'm doing very well for myself. So like origami and pursuing it, I'm not going to burn out. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to have to stop doing origami for my job or because it's my job and it's not paying, right? I have plenty of back end so I can keep doing all this cool stuff for you guys. And I think that's a very rare position in origami that I'm able to commit so much to. So don't worry, guys. I'm not going anywhere. Hopefully we'll get there. We'll see. But yeah, maybe me in 10 years will be different and we made it and I can look back. Or in 10 years, we didn't make it yet, but I'm still going and maybe we'll make it in another 10 years. Who knows? Played a long game. But even now, I think I'm doing pretty good. Boys impressed me so much. Oh, thanks, guys. Cortland Straight. I've been slowly adding tutorials for my models on my channel, but I don't know how to make my hand stop shaking. Hey, that's that. I had that when I first started my first few videos. Man, it's really hard. That's just part of learning to make videos and getting comfortable with yourself talking. But what is cool is if you consistently do it, you will just automatically get better and more used to talking to a camera, showing your hands on screen. Right, you can watch it back and try to learn from it. Like, sure, it might feel awful at first to like listen to your voice or to watch yourself, but if you can do so in a way where you're doing it so that the next one can be a little bit better, then you'll be good. I told this story before, but I started live streaming when I was in college, and a lot of my YouTube channel was done in college as well. Because I did so much of that, it made all of my speeches and presentations in college really easy, and I got amazing grades on them. I used to despise presentations and speeches for classes. I would have to prepare so much beforehand, and I'd be super worried, and it was 100% scripted, right? And if I messed up, I like lost my memory. It was really hard for me before then. But after doing YouTube and stuff like that is like the easiest thing in the world. It's like, oh, presentation. I know all the facts I want to talk about. I can just do it on the spot because I know what I'm talking about. And as you can see from this stream, I'm talking too much now, right? I'm talking too much. Yeah, so it's like, it's one of those things. I think it's cool if people are willing to give it a try because you get a lot of skills, like life skills, like public speaking skills from it that I think is very valuable. It's kind of interesting. So just sell stuff. Selling stuff, man, sales, being a salesman, that's its own industry in itself. That's its own science. I find it interesting. I try to learn a little bit of sales stuff. I think there's too many like sales gurus on YouTube and stuff, so you can't really trust YouTube for good content on how to be a good salesman, but you can kind of glean a little bit based on that. But sales is hard. But at least like I'm getting a little bit. That's kind of like what I answered Nara. You shouldn't make origami that people want to buy. You should find the people that want to buy origami, right? Stuff like that. It's like basic sales skills, and then closing deals and stuff like that. If you do get to the point where you can sell models, even if I know I'm not going to make the sale, you can still practice negotiation, right? For a fair price or just closing the sale. Like, what can I say or what am I saying that will be more likely for someone to buy something? So, I pretty much do that every time I make a OBB competition or anytime I'm looking at a potential someone that wants to buy my work. Sales skills. Boys, can you give me a shout out? What's up, Nathan? Here's a shout out for no reason. There you go. Thanks, Nathan. Thanks for watching. Killfolds, let's go. I joined right in time for the question. Oh, hey, perfect. I'm glad you got to hear that question. Again, this video is saved, so you can go back and listen to it. Feel free to share it with people if your friends are interested in YouTube channels. Amon. Hi, boys. Remember me. Okay, I will remember you, Amon. If you pop up next stream, I'll do my best. I can go with water for 5 hours. You should drink water. Drinking water is very healthy. Going without water can be very bad for you. It can be very painful, especially when you get older. So maybe when you're young, it's okay, but do you think hitting 10K subs in 8 months of weekly uploads is fast? Yeah, I think that's faster than most people will see. Now it's different if it's short form content versus long form content. I think if you hit from long form content, that's like absolutely crazy. Unless it's all bots. So the reason like subscription count doesn't matter as much as like growth rate or engagement is because for one, it could be bots or it can be like loose subscribers. So subscribers without community. One of the strongest parts about my channel, I don't have that many subscribers, but I have a strong community, right? So again, I'm streaming to 30 people. I've seen channels with 100,000 subscribers pluses and they try to live stream and like 2 people watch, right? So it's a very shallow subscription. Whereas mine is community. I have streamed content from the Discord of a lot of my subscribers, people I'm very strongly connected with, right? So that's almost more value. And then from a business perspective, right? If I want to launch my OBB competition, I have people who are interested in my Wyvern diagrams more so than, random channel trying to sell random product. It seems ingenuine. When I try to sell my Wyvern diagrams, I'm providing a competition with a prize. There's value, arguably value. But it's still good nonetheless, right? So you shouldn't feel bad about it, but you also shouldn't feel bad about taking years to hit 10,000 subscribers because most people won't ever do that. And even a lot of people who do that will quit halfway. Your oldest video was posted 10 years ago. Okay. 10-year-old channel. Crazy. Thanks, Mark. Yo, shout out to Mark. That's the best mod right there. Mark's awesome. I want more crease pattern classes. Yeah, I'm gonna need to like increase my level of crease patterns even more than it is now if I want to teach something extra. So we'll see. Hello from Oklahoma. Welcome, Oklahoma. Thanks for. It's pretty late for Oklahoma, so thank you for watching. Thanks, Power Paper One. Jason wants okay, they're talking to each other. Eric asked, am I going to Peacock? I am. I've purchased my plane ticket and my hotel reservation already. So unless something crazy happens, I'll be there. Power Paper One. I've never learned to design. I've been folding for almost 20 years. Do you know how I should start? So the plant psychologist has a really good class. It's my friend Brandon Wong. I was actually watching his channel today for Pythagorean stretches because that's something I've kind of always neglected. But yeah, the video resource is there. So I'm like, I should probably learn it. And it's super helpful. I'm going to try a challenge later. And then I think it's going to be a video where Bodo teaches me a lot more about it so I can use them in my designs. But most of the reason why you don't see them in my designs is I just simply don't know how to do them. Or I know how to do them like at a very basic level, but because it's a basic level, I don't have application. But I think if I understand how to use them more, then I'll find the application. But that is your best start because it's Brandon. It's a lot of videos, but Brandon really breaks it down and has, dude, that guy, like I talk about geniuses in content creation. I think Brandon, he's not necessarily a content creator. He partially is, but he's like a genius first. So because he's a genius and he's worked really hard and knows how to like optimize his intelligence. I'm just saying stuff to gas up Brandon, but he's very smart, right? You can see that when he creates videos, the quality is already really high. And even with his viral content, the quality is already really high. He didn't necessarily have to go out and study some of these things that I would have had to study. It's like an intuition that he's figured out maybe from a previous study or translated from something else. Yeah, that class is really nicely done. If you don't know how to read crease patterns yet, you can check out my crease pattern class first. That'll give you the basic understanding that you would need to understand some of the things in his class. So you watch his videos first and you run into something crease pattern based you don't get, go back, and mine's more of the app, practical. You can fold along. Brandon's you can fold along too, but that's my advice. Plant MIT. I mean, yeah, MIT should say something about the intelligence required to go there, right? Learn design from plant design school is super helpful. Yeah, it's super, super helpful. See, even I'm learning from plants design school too, right? It's good stuff. Okay, let me get some water and then we'll continue with some of these reviews. And we've been streaming for like an hour, 2 hours. Brandon shorts were something else. He made an owl with a moving head. Yeah, so you can see like the intelligence combined with the creativity is crazy. So that's why I call him genius level. It's very rare. You can have people who are very creative. You can have people who are very intelligent. But when they're both, you get something special. Aaron Brandon is community focused. Another really rare trait. Understanding how to build community, that's super rare. Super, super rare. So the fact that he actually wants to do that is great. There's a lot of people who are creative and intelligent who are very I wouldn't say selfish, but they're self-interested more than community interested. And like, that's fine. That's fine. But when you find someone community interested, right, it's naturally sacrificial. So it's really, really rare. I think it's super special about Brandon. It matches his character, his beliefs. It's like, it makes sense that Brandon would be that way, but it's so rare. We need a shaping school too. What do you think, boys? I don't think my shaping's good enough yet to make shaping school, but I hope one day it is. And then I can make shaping school with probably the assistance of others. I think that's what I'm good at. I bring people together. Like for my paper guide, I'm not the best at dyeing paper. I have my own methods that work, but I am friends with these people who are really good at it, like Alan and Mayu and Max. Boom. They helped me make the video. Okay, let's keep reviewing a little bit. Okay, next up we have, who is this? I have streamer mode. Okay, I can't read this person's name. I don't know necessarily who they are. And my streamer mode's on, so I can't see the full name. But this is a Maine lobster fold by Robert Lang. This is pretty cool. Let me see if there's any more context below. Okay, they also folded one from Karape or Cabbage Paper. Okay, this is from Cabbage Paper. And this is from, I'm not sure. Okay, I'm going to critique both of them. I think they're similar, but I'll do this one first. So this is, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, where like the increase of resources. So when you have better paper, it doesn't necessarily make a better origami, but it enables you to apply skills at like it's like a higher skill ceiling. Flies back. Try to get it. I missed. Okay. It's like a higher skill ceiling, but it doesn't automatically make it. So in this case, I would say that the paper choice is good, but you can raise your skill ceiling to maximize what this paper can give you. And so most of this is like shaping is what I would critique. Now, one thing is interesting. I actually learned this from Brian Chan. A lot of people who draw or shape lobsters, right? You will, they do the legs like this. And this is incorrect because this is what lobsters look like when they're frozen at the grocery store. You know what I mean? So living lobsters, they do have more dynamic legs. So I do appreciate that you actually had the legs spread. Now, the issue here is that they still aren't necessarily correct. So I was actually prepping for this. I was looking at some lobster references of like alive lobsters to make sure that I was giving the correct critique about the legs. So there is pretty much a regular like leg layout that you should consider. So let me show this on stream. So do you see how this lobster, right? We've got the fourth pair of legs. Both of them are stabilizing out to the side. The front two are bent forward, and the last one is back, and it's kind of like that. And then when it walks, sometimes they raise and lower, but this is like your general standstill lobster pose um, to go for. So here we have all four going out to the side. They're all facing this way. So that's where I would say an easy thing to do, you could even do this now, is just correct the shaping so that these ones are faced this way and they don't have to be pointing straight down, right? Those legs are long enough where the segments can kind of, be more obtuse on the way out. These ones can be out to the side, and then these should face forward, right? And that's already fixing part of the pose. Other things shaping wise is like this also kind of had that issue, and this might just be part of the structure of the lobster. It might not necessarily be built for this, but you can definitely shape it to be, is like the lobster, it's like this, right? And then there's like the tail is of a different kind of thickness and volume, but the shell of a lobster doesn't have this angle. And I know this is hard because the paper, right? It's thin there, but you could do the technique I showed earlier, like the half kimiro method of and this might be more advanced. You could take like a plastic card that's the size of the shell underneath, and you methyl cellulose it between the layers, and then as it's drying, you remove like that plastic card, but just provided support for the paper to like wet fold itself to the shape and get more structured and strong. And then you take out the plastic so it's not part of the model, so it's not like cheating or anything. And if you are okay with cheating, you can just add wire or aluminum foil, right? But if you don't want to cheat, you could do that method, and you could get some more volume, more correct volume out of that. And that would elevate the shaping. Other things is like general execution. I think some of these layers you can practice and manipulate them better. So the spread layers here, honestly, if I folded this, it'd probably be something similar because I get lazy and you get all these exposed layers. But if you can not have them, so whether that's when you're wet folding, which I'm pretty sure you did, be more gentle about securing the layers and then cleanly thinning them like this. I think also the lobster arms might not be this thin. I think they're more chunky. I'm just thinking about when I have eaten a lobster, is generally the claw is actually pretty hard to, to get through, right? So there's some more mass. Folding things in half isn't always the correct answer. But then like in this case with the antenna, that might not be the right name for them, but these should be pretty thin. So you might need to thin those a bit more. So there's just some like execution that I would work on. And it seems like a lot of it would be like taking some more time on each part. And that would start to fix the execution. Let's see, I think that's enough for this one. This one, actually with this one, so you definitely spent more time on the eye. Did the other one have an eye? I don't see it. But the fact you spent time on the eye is nice. And I actually like the curve of this more. Like this looks nice and flowy, even though it's, again, you've got these pleats here, which are very exposed. Because I'm guessing maybe you wet folded it first to get it thin, let it dry a little bit, then pleated, and then maybe wet folded again. I don't know. But again, this is just an execution thing. If anything, you can fold it into thirds and then fold it in half, and then it naturally becomes thinner and rounder without having to do much more effort. And then in this scenario, you didn't do as good. Again, this, because it's its own flap, you can really do that volume thing I talked about to differentiate this from the tail. um, especially with cabbage paper. It's strong paper. But yeah, hopefully that helps. Next up, we got Reza. Let me see chat. GG says hi. What's up, GG? We need shaping school is that Thai Unryu. I am not sure. I do not read that language, unfortunately. But Thai Unryu is just a mulberry paper from Thailand. There's a little bit specifics that make it an Unryu. But I think it's more about the material than how it's made. But commonly, what we call Unryu is that mixed length fiber paper. But they're pretty much all the same, whether it's called mulberry or Unryu. If it works, if it looks like that, it probably folds good enough. Nar. That's actually how we get better at folding and learning from each other. It is no school for origami progress. Yeah, that's valid. That's actually valid. That's so valid. Part paper one, sometimes I feel the most lazy approach. It has to be the best approach. Skips unnecessary work. Yeah, I think sometimes, like they say in engineering, right? Like a lazy engineer is a good engineer because they'll find the laziest way to do stuff, which is often the best. I think there's like, that's not a concrete statement. I mean, that's, you're just saying a generalization, but like to take it seriously, I appreciate the 80-20 approach where you are still, it's not necessarily like a lazy approach, but you're looking for efficiency. So it's like a balance. It's like, you're not trying to stress yourself out for no reason. You're trying to find like a more optimal way, but at the same time, you're doing more than nothing. So I wouldn't call that lazy. I call it efficient. Jason, we should have more frequent teaching sessions in Dan. Really interesting idea. That'd be really cool. It's hard to orchestrate. Mod team is really busy, but hey, if there's someone who wants to step up for community and lead or just organize teaching sessions, they can ask people. You can even ask people to ask people if you don't know them well enough. That'd be really cool. I'm definitely open to that. But I don't know if I myself have the bandwidth to like orchestrate that, if that makes sense. Good idea though, Jason. If you know anyone that's be interested in doing that, or if you'd want to do that, oh, look at that. You already have a helper. Reza's down to help. And perfect timing because I'm about to review Reza's question. Not really CC, but boys, if you have display suggestions for this, it's for commission. The customer wants it to be open, not in a case or box. Ah, okay. So that is interesting. Okay, I think Reza, you probably don't, but do you have access to a 3D printer, or do you know somebody with a 3D printer? If you do, just have 3D print like little squares, and then you can either like MC or this the it definitely doesn't have to be this big. But like this is just a 3D printed slab with tissue paper glued on top. You probably don't like tissue paper might be a little too thin. You can kind of see the grain of the 3D print underneath. But I think I found good success of some sort of paper, thinner paper on top, maybe tissue paper, and spray paint it. So like maybe it looks a little bit nicer than this. And black generally works better for that because it kind of hides some messiness. Looks a little bit nicer, especially if it's slightly gloss or even if it's matte. You could do that, and then you hot glue like either wires or plastic stand. If you have a 3D printer, like again, this plastic stand is probably the best one I've had so far. Other because wire, you kind of have to hide it in the model. It's really easy to attach to the base, but if you can like get some sort of plastic or like a stronger structure, which now I can just glue the insides, and then you can see how the black kind of hides in. It's like not very obtrusive. It's like it's very much okay. That would keep it strong because part of designs, especially for commissions, is you don't want it to break. So like definitely use glues or super glue to secure it. But and you also want it to look nice. So you don't want it to look like wires look kind of raggedy. Um, like if I just held it up by this, it would look kind of raggedy, right? But let me show you Anise's display. Right, so there is a wire, and it's a steel wire, steel colored. I'm guessing it's anodized steel or aluminum that runs through. So I think there's a hole. This is a piece of wood. I think there's a tiny hole, and he super glued it into the hole. And then he super glued the wire to the model. It like very nicely hides in between the layer. And then like the model itself is also super glued like to the base a little bit. Maybe not this one, but the other one I think so is. But it's like this whole thing is so solid. Like the model itself I think is super glued. And this is just the same Lokta paper super glued to the wood. And I think it looks pretty nice. And it would do good enough. And like it looks so good that even when he signs it, like it looks purposeful. I need to use super glue more, but I need a more ventilated workspace so I don't, gas myself with super glue. But hopefully that helps. These are very cool. Very, very cool. I really like this dress. I know you didn't ask for CC, so I'm just gonna compliment you. This dress, like the drapery, that's really cool. I haven't seen that too often done. I like that. Here's some ideas that Dusk shared. This is the bride and groom, I think. This is really cool. So it's like a surface and then you have some flowers around. So yeah, you could add some decor. I know this takes more time, but like this is a nice presentation for sure. And those rose I said those rezas. Those roses are those aren't very hard to those are pretty fun to fold. So this is like 13. It's not bad. Time crunch. Yeah, okay. So maybe we don't have time for that, but 1 or 2 would be cool. Okay, Neil, I don't know if you're still here. I know it's been a little while, but if you're watching this later, Neil, we've finally reached your submission. Always down for CC. Okay, let's see. Oh, Reza, we were talking about how some of my designs are cursed. Reza can be a good spokesperson to how, in particular, my squid was cursed. I will say, Reza, I had some of my friends who do tricking. It's like their first or third time folding origami, and they were able to fold those diagrams. With a lot of my assistance, but we made it through. It's pretty cursed. But I wonder if it was like they weren't knowledgeable enough to know that was cursed. So like they were able to do some of those moves. But we were nerfed by lack of sleep. Yeah, that is probably most of it. But I think it was like the curse of our knowledge made it even worse. CC, if you want CC here, I mean, I know this is a time crunch, so I'm not gonna be like too picky. I think your designs have gotten a lot better recently, so you're making steady progress. I think if like, again, to be picky, right, the disconnected shoulder structure, it's a cool structure, but it's very evident in this angle. I think the bride is a lot better than the groom. Again, this shoulder thing it works. There's so many good things that it's helping with the bride. It's helping make the shoulders look smaller because there's like an evident, right? You have that like gap. So I was kind of talking about that earlier, right? At least in this form factor. I don't know what this person looks like, but it's likely safe to have smaller shoulders than hips. And that's exactly what you've got going here. I think the fact that you also didn't have to do legs kind of helps with that, right? You can have this dress and you can you made it very 3D. Works super well. I think the hair again is sitting a bit more naturally than this. I know I don't know what this guy looks like. But I think it's just like the fact that the face kind of points this way. Whereas like for generally a face, right? We have got the chin, but then it scoops back into a neck. Right. So this is like the shape of a head. Okay, I did the eyes wrong, but they're like somewhere over there. All right, we got our ear. But in this case, like our dude's face is like his chin is like this way. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like got that kind of vibe. Like it's just way out there. Maybe that's what he looks like in real life. I can't judge, but I don't know. The face structure of the bride makes more sense because it's still a little concave, but like it points the correct direction. Like I can see that where she's looking, it makes more sense. That's the CC. But again, I'm being picky. Time crunch, I understand, but general CC. Okay, speaking of chins, we have Neil's. Neil's been cooking. This is a crazy design paradigm I've never done. Don't know if I'll ever do it. Very, very cool. I saw Neil. Actually, it's funny. So Neil participated in the Origami Design Challenge against Malcolm. And I think Malcolm tried this design paradigm and lost or something like I could be wrong. I could be remembering that wrong. Maybe it was Neil who did it. I can't remember. Never mind. But whatever the case, this is really cool. Neil, I like this. I think your anatomy, your understanding of face anatomy is improving a lot. I can already tell. It could still use some work, I think. I don't know the reference you're using, so like maybe if this is like an Egyptian thing, they do have the more narrow top, but I think it's almost correct the way this head is curving. It's just like there's this gap of where the forehead is, and it's just like instantly thins. That is making it a little bit strange for me. Like I don't know if this is a cone on top of his head. I don't know if it's a hat. There just needs to be some sort of definition. But that could be just the reference you're using. Other than that, we do have the eyebrow ridge. This looks pretty correct. Again, it's nice that the eyes are sunken into the head, not sitting on top of the head. I find the uncanny valley is crazy when people put eyes in front of the face. It just looks really odd to me. Now, while saying that, the eyes structure does need a little bit of work. I think it's so close. Like this shape actually is the general shape of an eye structure, an eye socket, but you made the pupils like that shape. So now it's like, again, it's popping out a little bit too much. Like if anything, right here should be the underlid of the eye, and the underlid is like a little bit too low here. So like his eyes they look like they're popping out of the head. Again, reference, it could be that eyes are that big, but I think they also go like they're sitting here. It's like if you look at a face, it doesn't quite go all the way out. And at this point, it looks like it's like all the way to like the side where the ears are, which is just like a little bit too far. It's close though. I think this is very close. I think proportion of the nose with this thing to the lips is really good. The lips are crazy good. And then even the cheekbones are there. Really nice. Last thing, again, this could be with the reference, but this dude's got no chin. Or like, I guess the chin is like right here. So if I were to draw the side profile, right, here's the lips. His chin goes like straight up this way. And there are people who have that chin, no flame, but it like, if you want a more average chin, you should give more chin. You know what I mean? And if the chin is like this, I think there is some difference. Like basically now the neck is here. So if they do have the shorter chin, I think the neck should be down there, and it's still like there's some adjustment to their face proportion where like maybe this is less of a chin thing and more of a neck thing actually. But that would be the area to like pay attention. I think this is like the main area to check. And it could be either chin, it could be neck. I'm honestly not like you could go either way to fix it. But very cool, man. These lips are great. These are really good. I think maybe this could be a little thinner here, but very, very good. Brian asked to CC these folds. So this is Winged Kirin by Satoshi, and I think this is Greater Kudu by Shuki Kato. Let's start with the Greater Kudu. I'm gonna have similar advice. Actually, let me read chat. Knocked octopus. If I don't have a 3D printer, should I just buy some wood and glue paper over it? Yeah, buy some wood, glue paper over it. If you even remember the way Chris displayed his models at conventions, he's got those like circular wood pieces, like the tree trunk. Those are pretty aesthetic too. If you want to get a little bit fancy, you like add some sort of varnish, some gloss finish to it. There's like spray gloss, or like you can get the ones you paint over. Those make it look super nice. Okay, yeah, hopefully that helped, Reza. Yeah, now it's the neck twist. There's a neck twist, Groom. Oh, ooh. Okay. I won't say it. Gotta go. It's entertaining. Thanks, Nara, for stopping by. Glad you're here. Let's look up a Greater Kudu. Yes, this might just be like a research thing. And this is hard. I'm not particularly good with animals, but this looks the correct thing, correct angle. It's, or at least it's close. But with animal legs like this, mammal legs and hooves. Okay, so I think the hooves need work. That's all I'll say. There's room for improvement, but the joints are really what like sell a good leg generally. So I think this is looking towards the right direction. This one is like what we call rubber leg. So it's like, oops, it's just round. Like I can tell where you want the joint to be, which is here. But if you look at a real Greater Kudu, even when it's straight up, there's a big knob that says where the knee is, and generally the bone structure like is either I think sitting under it, whereas the top one is like kind of over it. I'm guessing there's two bones for the top of the leg and one on the bottom, or maybe two smaller ones, kind of like humans. I'm not exactly sure, but you might want to look at the bone structure and just kind of see how that works, so you can make this joint more accurate. These ones in the back are like kind of okay because looking at the Greater Kudu, there's more skin that kind of covers it. So like this sort of thing is there on the real one, but the front legs are a little tough. Overall, this is looking pretty okay. I think the face, you can always do more to the face. I've seen some with like really detailed eyes. You don't necessarily have to do that, but relatively looks clean. I think this could maybe be a little bit cleaner and more defined. I think the Greater Kudus have a bit more angle to the top of where the horns point, but you might just have to find one that you want. But at least from the pictures I'm seeing, they're generally like, what I'm seeing is it like goes like this and like out, right? And it's thicker, so okay, I messed up the top, but like they have more outwards. They're not just straight up spiraling. They're not just spiraled like that. I don't know what the diagrams say, but like I feel like the diagrams might have them going straight up, but the ones I'm looking at are more angled. Let's go to next. Winged Kirin. Okay, kind of same thing. So we've got all this body, and we skipped leg day, right? So this would be an area where it's like, it's not always good to fold things in half to thin it. And I know you might have been following the diagrams, but like you don't have to go to a T. Even from here, like you could thin the body to make the legs look longer. And then this could be the top of the calf, right? And then it doesn't get that thin that quickly, but you also want that joint into the toe. It looks like you lost a lot of length on the foot here. Maybe a little bit too much. So this one would just be like a little bit of proportion. I know there's no winged Karen in real life that you can draw reference to, but maybe you can find some art that has good proportions that you can compare to for that. But all right, we got plop. Well, after a few panic attacks, can I please get tips on animal origami? Shaping and painting are my priorities. Okay, so shaping and painting. I know there's a question about painting. I think that will have to be its own video. I can give guides on like, it looks like you're painting afterwards. So that's generally frowned upon by origami, but I think there's a way to do it successfully. At least I'm trying. I don't know if I'm super successful yet, but there's definitely better ways to do it and worse ways to do it, I guess. Okay, so this is terrifying. That was actually on accident. They say what animal it is in general. Boys getting paid overtime. That's so funny. I don't know what animal this is. Again, my advice is look from references. I meant to paint something else, and some just. Oh, the paint was an accident. Okay, Jason. So I'm guessing this is you. What? I should probably remember that from Plop. Okay. Plop is Jason. Jason, what animal is this supposed to be? Is this like a Tasmanian devil, or I forget what the Australian? It's like a mammal, a fierce mammal, Wolverine or something. Oh, based off quadrupedal. Okay, so you might not have a real life reference. You might just have like art based references. Oh, is it based from the base of the Indominus Rex by Jason Koo, but you're shaping it to be quadrupedal? Oh, that is neat. I like that you're being creative with that. That's pretty cool. I think first things first, execution. I'm guessing you found the method to do the teeth from the Bariano tutorial, right? That's okay. Is it okay? I don't know if it's okay. Regardless if it's okay, I've seen you fold my Rathalos armor. I know you can fold these cleaner. I know you can get those cleaner. So there's some execution stuff here. Maybe the paper was a bit too small. This looks tiny. This looks really tiny. But using a more accurate paper will lead to more accurate folds. I think part of the proportions will get fixed. Although since you're shaping it like a quadrupedal, I think you made the arms longer intentionally. That's okay. But I think a lot of this would be execution. The cleaner you fold, the cleaner you can shape, or the cleaner your shaping will start to turn into. So like you can see this layer, which is like the edge, you know, bisector, typical tail, but now it's bulging out here weirdly and wrinkling because you're turning the paper, but there's some like gaps and like this tail isn't super pointy. It could just be the angle, but like the fact that the paper is lifting like that means there's some paper creep from some less accurate folds. I think with larger paper, you can also avoid some of this extra layers. And I like what you're doing here with these claws, but again, it's kind of ruined by the fact that the rest of the foot is just smashed together. So if it was like a little bit cleaner, those claws would look crazy good. Again, execution, right? Like you can clearly see this paper creep on the spike. Even if it's there with a little bit more shaping, you could hide it in a little bit better way. Like even this one, even though it's not the cleanest, it's still sharper because you like pushed it to be sharper. So like you could have done that with that one too. You do have like the remnant of an eye here. This is cool. But again, it's ruined by some of these. So in this scenario, it's like the less mistakes you make, and if you keep the same shaping, you'll actually, it's less about making changes, more about making less mistakes, I think, for your shaping. but you're off to a good start. So like, I don't want you to like think you have to completely redo stuff. You just have to like minimize some mistakes and be good. In terms of painting, you've watched so many streams, so you kind of understand maybe how I've been painting, but I think I should make its own video for this or talk about this separately. But like, I think the process to painting models better after the model's folded is like paper is very soluble, or like it absorbs moisture too well. So what you want to do first is prime it. So the easiest way to do that is with a spray paint primer. If you go to the art store and look at the spray paints, there's the regular paints and then there's primer. So you want to find one that's a primer. Generally, a black primer works better than a white primer. A white primer will be for certain use cases, but it doesn't look as good underneath because it doesn't provide contrast. Whereas when you have a black primer, if you miss paint on some places, it naturally blends with shadows. So it's almost like a contrast accent. So primer then paint for most cases will be like totally okay. But if you want to go a little crazier, like obviously you're not going for a metallic look here, but if you want like a weathered look, even for like an animal, you should probably have a weathered look. Try to find some like animal miniature figure painting guides, and they'll show like with greens and oranges and browns to get weathering. So like even with this, it's hard to see here. This is metallic, but it's like there's the base coat metallic, then there's a black wash, which is black paint with mostly water. And again, that just adds accent. You could even do that with, so you would start here, say if it was also green, right? Primer black, base coat with green acrylic like this. Then you do the black wash, and that makes all these little highlight areas stick out a ton nicely, and it doesn't look like a flat paint layer on top. It'll add some more mixed, more interesting depth. And then from there, you can use your slightly watered down paints, not like just straight paint, but slightly watered so you can still see some of the green coat underneath with like different browns and oranges and darker greens or mixes to like add highlight and accent and just more interesting stuff. But that you might have to, like for animals, you might have to find a more specific example of things you can try to like accent. I don't have those off the top of my head, but for metals, it's kind of easy because it's basically base coat, black in the recesses, and then like on the edges, this is actually silver. So this is just like a silver highlight, and then it accents the light even more. So like from here, it just looks like the metal is shiny, but it's actually silver, right? You can really see on the shield that on the edges, I added a line of silver, but like from a quick glance, it just looks like it's shiny. Even here, there's like a line of silver. And then in the photograph, you can really see because it captures the light better than what I'm showing here, but there's like copper. And so I did a copper wash. So it makes it look like there's recesses that are rusted. So I wanted a really weathered look. So you can see it a bit in real life, and then also in the photos I took, because I bumped up the saturation a little bit. And you can see that it adds to like the weathered look. It doesn't just look like one, like even here, it doesn't look like just one layer of paint, right? And so that kind of helps. I'm still learning how to do that better too, but yeah, hopefully that helps a little bit. Yeah, not getting paid overtime, but this is fun. This is really cute. This is cute. I do like this. This is cute. Hopefully that helps, Jason. Pulled pleats like Mantis from Kota. Jason, if you folded Ancient Dragon 2, I think the teeth are kind of the same. But I think it's also the same like Mantis, so you might not be wrong. But you can do this cleaner for sure. What's up, Neil? Neil, I think you missed my critique of your design, but I went fairly in depth. So once this stream is over, you'll be able to rewatch that in case you missed it. This is Guillermo. I know Guillermo was watching earlier, but it's pretty late now. I think it's 1 a.m. I don't know if Guillermo's still here. But Guillermo wants my take on the last vault. This is by Neil Elias, OG box plate designer. Oh, Guillermo's still here. Okay, cool. All right, so Guillermo has pretty good execution. Even on this giant, I think Takashi Hojo Buddha, I was pretty impressed. I think to your shaping level doesn't necessarily match your execution. So your folding skills are great. Where you could work on a bit is again the shaping. It's by no means bad, but if you want to elevate this even more, that's where it'd come in. And where I'm kind of talking is like you have actually a really nice leg here, right? You even have this kind of start to a definition of a knee. And this is not like a realistic type model. So that's fine. But this is like enough where like, oh yeah, I can tell this is the thigh. This adds some shadow for where the calf should be. There's a clear and evident knee, goes down into foot, right? Looks great. In turn, or on the opposite scale, you have the arm here where they're only curved. And so instead of rubber leg, we have rubber arm syndrome, where there's absolutely no definition to the parts of the arm. They're just curves. So it would be basically the effect is if you had like a decently, shaped figure, not in terms of realism, but in terms of form, where you're like, starting to define the different parts of the body, right? Okay, you get the point. I'm drawing this really fast. But then now your arms are just like, whoop, they're like noodles. Right. So, and I know it's kind of probably hard in this model you don't have too much to work with, but if there's some semblance of like a little bit you could give to the elbow where, right, if maybe you need a reference of actually holding someone like this, but there should be some joint. It shouldn't just be noodle around. You know what I mean? Like if I'm going to grab somebody to hold him for dance, right? I've got this shirt's baggy, but right. It's very evident. And I think I would just like increase this, it would elevate this model even more. Let's look at the other photo. The paper is really cool that you chose. I think even though it's patterned, it like there's enough contrast between the two figures that it works. Right. So here you actually started the elbow. So maybe in this and the wrist, right? So you did it on this side, but not the other side. So don't forget about the other side, basically. Yeah, this pattern paper is cool. It's like a nautical helmet with the squid inside or an octopus inside. That's really neat. I don't know how fitting that is for the model. I think generally people would disagree with this paper choice. I think this is kind of fun though, but I see where people generally would disagree with a patterned paper. But yeah, I don't know. It's fun. Yeah, their noodles is just very thin and short. Yeah, it is hard when it's that thin. Like even if it's a hard pleat, it might be a little better. I don't know the exact structure for this, so it might not be possible, but at least here where this is just straight up a rabbit ear, it's a little distracting if you get the point. Like you have the wrist here, but it's just this part is very clearly just a rabbit ear and it's flat. Hopefully that helps. CC for the 104 grid. Okay, my CC was don't. Yep. I still stand by that. Okay, realms. First ever DT model is Assassin. My first single tissue model is the Mantis. Please review. I'm working on learning, solving crease patterns. Any other advice? Watching crease pattern class. Nice. Already watched it. Eventually trying to design. Cool. If you're able to fold these, it's very clear that you've watched the crease pattern class. This is great. I feel like I gave some critique on this before. Did I DM you? I've definitely seen your fold before. I felt like I talked about it. Okay, maybe I'm hallucinating, but I think I know what to say. Okay, this is cool. I like. Okay, so the pose is like Assassin's Creed, right? Okay, let me pull up Assassin's Creed. Papers from an Octopus restaurant? Dude, that's so cool. I'm trying to find that pose. Okay, I can't find it exactly, but this one is kind of similar. Right? I think if you don't use this reference, you can watch parkour videos and watch people taking drops. So this might just be a pose of someone jumping down from something with a bit more aggression from the face. The face is folded very nicely, actually. So the shaping, this isn't necessarily like a shaping critique. This is more of a pose critique. And part of that is, well, okay, let's do a little bit of shaping. I think this is partially my fault with how the design works and how I taught the tutorial, but I don't think my design detailed enough of the true torso shape. Like it's a little too flat the way I designed it, and so in order to make it not like this, like the chest definition isn't quite there. It's all kind of flat along the way. So this is not necessarily like I guess you could have done this to make it better, but from what I taught in the tutorial, this might not have been clear enough. But this was like a skill issue when I did this, right? So this is partial skill issue on me too, not just you Realms. But I think for this model, the chest wasn't defined enough, and so to define it like this needs to pull back and be more curved, and then this part needs to like pop out more, especially when doing this pose, because when your arms are out, your chest is pushed forward, right? So like okay, this is why it's good to do these poses yourself sometimes, because you understand, you can start to grasp what's actually happening. So when your arms are back right here, it's opening up the chest, so it should be more pronounced out here. Now to hit that actual pose, it's a lot of flexibility. I don't quite have that. I think when people jump, the shoulders are a little bit back and the chest is open, but the elbows are bent. And especially for Assassin's Creed, where they have the knife, right? It's like this. They're not in behind. They're stabbing downwards. So I think in the pose maybe it would look a little bit more realistic. This way, you'd be able to sell the effect, and then the shoulders don't have to be that far back. I think this like all the tertiary details are nice. You did the bevels, great. This is another issue on my design. So these knees and how I taught it actually don't, there's structure there, but it doesn't actually communicate that there's a knee there. So it looks very cylindrical. And this is something I received critique on from Yuho and Forger and Bodo about these legs. Mine were rubber legged, and they were too cylindrical. The other thing is we talked about how legs bow in a little bit. Both these bow out, even though he's kind of in a neutral. But again, if he's falling, he should kind of be more in a crouched position or legs bent. So if the knees are bowed out, right, it needs to it's not standing. It's like, you know, more dynamic. He's got his knees bent, prepping to take the fall like this. And you can see this in that Assassin's Creed thing I showed. But at least for the knees, I fixed this bit on my recent fold. Which was the Sword and Shield version. And how I did it, was I sacrificed some of the tertiary details to hard commit for a knee joint. And it's kind of weird still. Like technically there should be a knee, like this isn't really how knee pads work, but maybe it's like an over armor. But it very clearly points out that there's a knee there, right? And so that is even just a bit better. This one's not so much. You can from the back you can see it, but from the front it looks very rubber legged still, right? Like if you look at it from here, it looks pretty rubber legged. But this makes it a bit better. It used to be like noodle. Now it's a bit more defined. Still not perfect. What's funny is, so I got that critique, but then from someone else who's kind of helped mentor me in learning anatomy, Gosh Papier, he sent me a lot of constructive criticisms for anatomy. And this one, he actually complimented me on understanding anatomy more. So I think there's some wins and some losses in this design, right? Which is pretty, I was happy enough with. I'm always happy to try to learn to be better. So the constructive criticism helped me to study knee and leg structures a lot. I spent a lot of time starting to learn those in the academic drawing and anatomy lessons. But at the same time, it wasn't at a total loss. I did receive some compliments that my studying of like facial structures has started to pay off. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Overall, this is very cool. And my bad for some of those skill issue is my skill issue. Okay, this is the mantis. I'm gonna be kind of quick on this. I'm not super good at insects. I think this leg is correct. I can't see this leg. I think this leg is probably correct too. You could probably add some more detail into some of these joints. Just like for extra shaping. I don't know how correct this is. The list, I can kind of see the joint there, but it's not very evident. But I feel like exoskeletons, there's like sinew between the exoskeleton, so maybe that can be defined more. This almost looks like the DPA armor here that you pinched. And I don't think it's supposed to be like that. Your shaping is starting to look really good. I think this is a single tissue, so it might have been too thin that a lot of these details are hidden. But at least for insects, like really good insect shapers like Kimiro and Kota, try to study more deeply on how they solve some issues like thin layers, right? So like because of this thin layer, when you try to shape it, you can visibly see the bevel that you made. Try to see how Kota and Kimiro kind of fix those issues to make it look, because right now it looks very soft because it's single tissue, but insects they're supposed to be hard, right? It's an exoskeleton, so it needs to look not crispy or crunchy, but it like shelled, you know what I mean? So and they fold with thin paper too, so there is some way to like shape it in that way. I don't exactly know what it is, but that's what I recommend. Okay, this is from Emily. I think Emily, at least that's how I read it, Emily. I don't know if it's too late to be, but I'd be interested in why I should improve on a salamander. Okay, we still have time. This is neat. Color change salamander. I don't know if this is Emily's design or someone else's. Reminds me of a Bodo. I'm not too sure whose design. This is very cool. Salamander. Okay, let me look at salamander. I'm gonna fact check myself again. Okay, it is very interesting. So normally I would critique, like in some other animals, I would critique that the eyes are not supposed to be raised above the head. But in fact, salamanders have the raised eyes over the face. So that's actually correct. What maybe isn't correct is the placement of them. I think, at least from the reference, they're closer to the snout. So they should be more in front here than in the back. I don't know if that's something you can shape or if that's part of the structure of the model. But it looks like they're made from flaps that stretch out this way. So it might be a little bit hard to do that. The solution actually would be to shorten the nostril to make it appear closer. That might be a little difficult. That might not be something you can check. But I will say someone like Alan, if he shaped it, he would probably do that to make it look more realistic. Because he's changed some designs I didn't think would were possible to do a structural change like that, he made it happen. So I'm sure if you wanted to, there's a way to make that happen. I think a lot of people neglect toes, right? So you nicely shaped the body like round, and you put some extra care even into the neck and the roundness of the face, but you neglected the feet, right? You kind of folded the steps for the feet and then stopped. Now it might be hard with this structure, but I'm sure someone like Alan could find a way. But yeah, just maybe take a look at salamander feet. They're a little bit oblong. I think that structure works, but they're flatter. And then the body is like resting on the floor, so it's very scrunched, right? So if we take a look at this one, the shoulders kind of just go down and it's like standing, but I don't think they actually do that. Even when they're walking, they're kind of slithering. So I think it's more, again, you might just have to like look at references more, but it seems it's more this way and then this way. And then the toes. Right. So it's just like and this one is definitely wrong. I think it looks like it comes forward and down like this, and then you have the feet. So yeah, just take a look at some references for the salamander feet, and I think that'll elevate it a lot. And with the tail, you can probably do the same. It looks like you reach under the layers to puff out the body. The tails of these salamanders don't look that thin, at least towards the base. So you could probably round out by doing the same method. Just push underneath the layers of the tail, and that'll also make it a little bit more round. And then as it goes closer to here, it's fine to make it thin. But yeah, so yeah, it almost looks like you tried to do that actually, but I think you need to do a little bit more, at least on the other side. It is hard when you add curves just because of the way the paper works, but you can probably do some 3D crimps, really small 3D crimps to enable that, to maintain the slight thickness as you go along. And then yeah, now from the top view, I can see like these can be tucked in. Again, same leg thing will fix this pose, but very cool. I do like the width. If anything, it looks like you could, this might be hard to do with the model, but looks like salamanders, their spine is disconnected or it's not connected here. So they're really squirmy. So you can make this more like, you disconnect this a little bit more. So instead of just the squiggle for the tail, it looks like on real salamanders, they almost do it with their whole body. They're very wobbly. Guys, see you soon. Thanks for watching, Guillermo. Thanks for tuning in and for submitting. Okay, it looks like we got one more. This is a good one to finish on. This is from, oh my goodness, dude. This is a complete meme. Let me show you. It's actually so good. Origami for the win. This is that. Real Creations. From Winston. These are absolutely nuts. I am not qualified to give constructive criticism on this accuracy level of marine creatures. This is so cool. I love Winston's pieces, and if you ever get to see Winston display an exhibition, it's so cool. It's so cool. It's really, really nice. One of the nicest ways I've ever seen marine biology or fish or whatever you want to say like displayed. It's so cool. I think there's some convention vlogs that show it. So I think this right. It's missing quite a lot. Honestly, the best thing about this is these details are very, very good. So I'll give it a 10 out of 10. Yeah, very nice, very nice. Thank you, Winston. Thank you for the submission. Excellent Excellent. There's nothing to critique about that. It is a masterpiece, actually. So, oh wow, Emily commented live here. It's my design, but I'm not signed in on YouTube. Okay, cool, Emily. So since you're watching, hopefully that critique made a little sense. If this is your design, I'm not super sure how much of the structure you can change, but I think if it's possible to get those eyes like a little closer to this might be too close to this now actually, but yeah, just take a look at some of those salamander pictures more and see if there's a way. I know you don't want to sacrifice the color change. I wouldn't either because that structure looks really cool, but if there's a way to either shape it or like it's either you shape it closer, you move the structure closer, or you shrink the snout and shaping a little bit. I think that's like the biggest fix that would really make it look good. And then the second biggest fix again is those leg positions. I could also be wrong about this. Maybe when salamanders walk, they are very much like this, but I think even when they walk, there is some different position that the legs are probably facing. So just double check those and give some love to those toes. But overall, very nice. Looks perfect already. Yeah. Okay. So last one again. This is absolutely perfect submission. Thank you everybody for tuning in to this live stream. Someone tipped $5 anonymous. Thank you for the tip. It's anonymous, so I don't know who that is, but thank you so much. I didn't even know I had tipping enabled. Anonymous said, "Hi, I really enjoyed today's stream. I'm so glad to hear that you might be streaming more in the future. Thank you so much for all you've done. I know that this isn't much, but I hope you enjoyed." Thank you. I really appreciate that. That's going to help support some more future projects. So yeah, that is so greatly appreciated. Diatomic Kitten, thank you for the follow as well. I think that's going to wrap up most of the stream. We're closing in on 3 hours. So I was going to start showing my next design and or solve some of this crease pattern stuff. Maybe I'll just do the crease pattern stuff. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to do it. I might do this off stream, but this is the Bodo challenge. So I think there's going to be a video about Bodo helping me learn Pythags correctly. I discussed it a little bit earlier in the stream, but a lot of the reason I don't have Pythags in my designs is because I'm just don't really know how to use them or do them correctly. So here's a challenge he proposed. You fill in the creases, and it has to match. Like I can't add extra pleats or run things to the edge. So as you can see, I just filled in the middle here. This one even took me a couple tries. I had to check with Bodo because I didn't really understand the problem or how to do it. But I was able to find this Pythag. This is a very standard 3-4-5 triangle based Pythag. For me, the way I think about it is I think one of the slopes is 1/2, which I think is arctan 2. And then the other one is 1/3, which I think is arctan 3. I don't know if that's like, I'm not very good at math, guys. So this geometry stuff doesn't make, I don't know the whole thing, but I think it's arc 2 and arc 3 slopes, which is correct. And then apparently like this, Brandon calls these arms of the Pythag. And basically this changes where that flap is. Like it adjusts, like they basically, if they were normal, there'd be a river. So like if they were sticking out this way, right, the river would run between these two. I forget exactly which direction they run, but there'd be a river. But oops, you can adjust where the river is by dragging the arms like down here. So now this probably shortens the river. So there's like more. Trying to think what the actual river would be, but I think there's like more space committed to one side than the other. So it's something like, so it's probably not exactly like that. It's something like that. I need to study these more. So I found this solution. Bodo was like, yes, that works, but you can still use the same slopes and get a pleat. So like this type of stuff I've didn't know you could do. So I'm gonna try that with this next challenge. You know, off the top of my head, I'm guessing there's probably a similar solution where you can use some sort of slope. Let me see if I can even, you know, replicate any of this. I don't know. This might take some some thinking for myself to like figure out what the correct solution is here. But very eye opening, and I'm kind of excited to like actually learn how to do these correctly. Like maybe it's is this the same slope? So like this. So that's the arctan 3. This would be arctan 2. And then okay, so that's probably not right. Let's try arctan 2 slope here. Right, and then this probably isn't right either because now I don't have anywhere to go. So yeah, there's stuff I don't know how to do, which is always exciting because it's an opportunity to learn. I'm kind of like hyper fixating on like trying to solve this now, but to me this is like fun, like trying to figure out what it might be. Like this one might keep going. I don't know. I don't even know this is possible, but we'll play around and try to find out what this is. I think I'm gonna end the stream there. Basically, there is more I wanted to do, but no time. Is there somewhere else I meant to donate? I'm not sure. I honestly I don't haven't not been tipped like this before. I've been like super chat and stuff, but I don't know how that tip or where that tip came from. I have no idea. Um, but yeah, thanks anonymous. Was that you, Jason? That was you. Thank you, Jason. Oh, that is Jason. I didn't know it was one. No, thank you, Jason. Thank you so much. I'm glad you appreciate the stream. Again, yeah, this supports stuff, supports projects. So there's some really exciting stuff coming up soon. Like I mentioned, the OBB competition. And yeah, Mark, I think the leg should be wider on the thigh right in the knee area. I missed some stuff. That might have been about the assassin. Mark is probably correct. I trust Mark. Thanks for CC boys. Gotta sleep soon. Oh, I absolutely just missed that. Well, we want to see your next. Oh, next design. Okay, let's check out the next design before we go. What program do I use? Oriedit. I've pinged it in a couple different comments and stuff around, so I'm not gonna do that again. But before we leave, I know I'm sorry. I'm starting to blitz through, but stream's got to end soon. Okay, so new design. I teased it in today's short. So it's the Wilder class. I don't know if it's a class or a person. I think it's the person, but you play as that class in Elden Ring Night Rain. So that's a new Elden Ring. I think it's just like the multiplayer expansion for the base game. But I'm gonna try to play it with some friends. I've beaten Elden Ring. I've almost beaten the DLC. So I should try to finish that too. But I think the characters are really neat. People have wanted me to design stuff from the series in general for a while. So this is my opportunity. I only have a draft of the design. This is based on like a 40 grid right now, I think. 44 maybe. I think I'm just going to bump it up to 48 so I can fit what I want. But there's a lot of like this space is kind of wasted right now and I don't have all the details I want in here yet. But I did tease the paper. This is the paper folded into quarters. It's folded into a preliminary base here, so it is pretty big. Got a little wrinkly when I did the welding, but should be okay. The paper I used for this one was like way worse in worse shape. I think my methyl cellulose has like too little water in it, so it's not sticking to the surface. But it didn't really matter in the end. But that's going to be for the next design. So next time you see me on stream, I don't know if I can stream next week, but if I stream before it's done, you'll get a sneak peek. Likely, I'm trying to finish it as soon as possible because the game comes out May 30th. So yeah, it might be finished before then. But thank you everybody so much. I'm going to try to stream again sometime soon because I think, like I said before, it's really cool to be able to interact with my community directly, and you guys have so much to offer in terms of questions, submissions, even advice. I think it's really neat, and we get to bring some people together, even if it's over the internet. So yeah, with that, thank you everybody for watching. Stay tuned for the OBB competition, hopefully coming out in the next 2 weeks, and then it's going to run for a while. I think it's going to run for 2 months, maybe 2.5 months, maybe 3 months, because it'll be the only opportunity you get to buy those digital diagrams of the Wyvern. And I know, sorry, advertisement at the last, but yeah, thank you everyone for watching. Have a nice evening. Have a good weekend. I'll see y'all soon.